Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another edition of the Spurs Chat podcast. In this edition, we'll be talking about Eberechi Eze. It now looks like he is not going to be signing for Tottenham. In fact, he is signing for our biggest rivals, Arsenal. Exclusive news from David Ornstein in the last hour or so. He has stated that Arsenal make move for Eberechi Eze, 27-year-old, wants to join them. Tottenham lined up deal with Crystal Palace today and player. But after the Havertz injury, Arsenal are now closing in on England international. If he proceeds with choice, Tottenham Hotspur will pursue other targets. Fabrizio Romano has added, following talks tonight, Arsenal are convinced that Eberechi Eze prefers to join them over Tottenham. £60 million package offered to Crystal Palace with easier add-ons and faster payment terms to try and beat Spurs. Negotiations underway. TalkSport in the last couple of minutes have just stated that Eze is set to join Arsenal for £60 million. Arsenal to wrap up the deal quickly. Spurs had an agreement in principle, verbal terms agreed with Eze. Palace delayed because they wanted him to play in their Europa Conference League game on Thursday, and then Arsenal made their move. And the very latest, literally in the last minute or so, Michael Bridge from Sky Sports has stated that Tottenham have now moved on to other targets. Wow. I've got Craig with me. Craig, let's get your initial reaction to this news, because I tell you what, I feel angry, I feel gutted. The disappointment level is just an all-time high.
Yeah, it's everything you just said and triple it. It's so destroying. I mean, it's painful. It just gets you down, doesn't it? I mean, this has happened twice now, two top targets. I mean, how long have we had this to get this bloody deal over the line? You know, we've had weeks to do this and we just dilly-dally around. Obviously, we don't know the full details of it, but come on. We had everything in place. Eze wanted to come to us. Fees agreed. What the hell's happened? And is Eze going to still play tomorrow night and go to Arsenal? It sounds like if everything's true that he was waiting for Arsenal to come in for him. He would have come to us, but he was waiting for Arsenal. As soon as Arsenal said yes, he's going to them. I just find it staggering. What are we doing? And who have we got now? We've got 1.5 weeks till the transfer window shuts. Spurs moving on to other targets. What are those targets? We haven't even heard anything about another number 10 coming in. We've got no Maddison for months. Decky's injured. It's just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I'm actually at a loss to know what to say. I'm absolutely fuming. Like everybody watching this stream, I'm sure. Me and Chris don't want to be here tonight doing this. We thought we'd have a night off. We thought actually we'll do one when Eze signs. And now this happened. It is so this club sometimes, honestly.
Craig, the most disappointing thing for me is the fact that we seem to have just dragged this deal on over the last couple of weeks. Arsenal have an injury to Havertz, and they literally seem to be summing up or getting the deal done, sewing up the deal, within like a couple of hours. And like Fabrizio Romano said there, Arsenal have gone in with a £60 million package with easier add-ons and faster payment terms. Now, Thomas Frank has said in the last couple of press conferences that Johan Langer, Vinay Venkatesh and Daniel Levy, they're working round the clock, they're working day and night to get this deal done. I'm sorry, I don't think that they have worked hard enough to get this deal done, because like you've just said, Morgan Gibbs-White falling through the net and now Eze falling through the net. Honestly, I'm speechless. I can't quite believe that we have not got this deal over the line. And interestingly, how you've just said about will he play in the Europa Conference League game for Crystal Palace on Thursday. I'll tell you what, if Arsenal get this deal done tonight, which it looks highly likely, of course he's not going to be playing that game on Thursday. Why haven't Spurs acted? And I hate to say this because it's our biggest rival. Why have Spurs not acted in the same way that Arsenal have and just got it done quickly? Why have we dragged this on?
Yeah, exactly. And I haven't got an answer for that other than, were they trying to penny pinch again? Their fingers have been burnt with the Morgan Gibbs-White thing, all right, for slightly different reasons. But you think they got their target. You say slipped through the net. He was in the net. He was just hanging off the side of the boat, and they're ready to reel him in, and they've just let him go. It's staggering. It's incompetence.
But you can't let a player go. Like you've just said there, they're in the net and you're reeling them in. You cannot let them go at that point. You cannot allow this to happen.
No. I am absolutely staggered. I genuinely thought this deal was there. It was, as Fabrizio said the other night, 85%. I thought he was there. I thought it was that close. I thought we'd get clarification. I thought, okay, have we agreed that he could play tomorrow night? Fine. And then he'd be announced Friday, do his medical. I don't know. I've no idea. I'm just totally at a loss now. This club, oh my God. What? The people making the decisions, the people doing the transfer talk, why aren't we moving fast? I hate to say it, because as you say, they're our biggest rivals. Arsenal have acted like a big club tonight. Arsenal have acted like a club. They've had one day since Havertz, the news come out. Whether he's done an ACL or not, I don't know. But they've obviously known about that injury and they've seen the impact on the club. They've acted on it straight away and they've gone and got their player. And we have messed around for days and days and days. We've got no plan B as far as we're aware. We've got 1.5 weeks till the window slams shut. And Frank is going to be absolutely hung out to dry if we don't get players in. And any player now, in my opinion, any player we bring in is going to be a climb down from Eze. He's going to be a lesser player than Eze. And I am absolutely embarrassed with my club. I am fuming, absolutely fuming. It is doing my nutting. It really is. I'm going to see from all the comments coming in, everybody's feeling the same as us. It's an absolute bloody shambles, honestly.
Craig, I think you've hit the nail on the head about how the fans are feeling. How do you think Thomas Frank's feeling about this right now? And how do you think that he is feeling about the club in the way that we haven't got this transfer over the line? Like we've said, it was so close. He must be extremely disappointed. He must be very, very annoyed about this.
I can't even begin to imagine how Thomas Frank's feeling. Having been let down with the Morgan Gibbs White deal that was very close, and now Eberechi has it's staggering. How must he be? He's probably aged another 10 years. He must be feeling so let down by Johan Langer, Daniel Levy, Vinay Venkatesham, whoever's doing this deal. Apparently, Levy was talking to Parish at Crystal Palace. Those negotiations apparently went on 3 or 4 days. Over the weekend, it was looking a bit iffy, but then we pulled it back. We got seemingly good news. And now it's all gone. In the space of half an hour. It's incredible.
Literally, Craig, an hour before David Ornstein gave this exclusive news about Arsenal making their move, he put out the following: Arsenal love Eze, and if the price had been in the £40 million range, maybe you could push it a little bit higher, then perhaps it would be different conversation. If he's moved to Tottenham Hotspur, touches £60 million, that is not the place where Arsenal were comfortable with. Now, as you've said, they get the injury to Havertz and they've moved really quickly. It doesn't seem like that £20 million gap from 40 to 60 matters to them, because they know that is such an important area of the pitch. They know that is such an important player, and they have made that decision just like that. And it seems like we have been dragging our heels trying to get this deal done, talking about add-ons. And we've also heard those reports earlier tonight about Richarlison possibly going to Crystal Palace, with them offering Richarlison after, him scoring 2 great goals at the weekend. I know that's a whole new debate. And apparently Thomas Frank wanted to bring Wissa in, which made it a very, very complicated situation. But like you said, Arsenal have acted like a big club. They've gone in and they've said, no sodding about. We'll make the add-ons easier. We know that, Eze, as a young kid, was an Arsenal fan, so it must be his dream move, although he'd already said yes to Tottenham. But it just, honestly, it's so frustrating the way that some of these clubs move so quickly.
Yeah, and that's it. Exactly that. Speed, and they've identified whoever it was at Arsenal. I don't know much about their backroom staff who does their deals or anything, but Arteta turned around and said, look, Eze's still there. It's not done with Spurs. I want him. And he turned around and said, well, it's going to cost 60 million. And Arteta said, well, I'm sorry, but we need to pay it. And like you say, bang, they're in. Straight in, got the player. Looks like he's. I mean, that if we was 85% done from everything we understand, that's incredibly close now. Him going to Arsenal, and in amongst all of this, we've managed to totally pee off a player that played an absolute blinder on Saturday. You know, probably Richarlison feels totally undervalued now. So well done, Spurs. Absolutely well done. Top bloody notch. I nearly swore. I said I was going to come on here tonight and try not to swear. I am frustrated and really, really annoyed. I just cannot. But it's almost like a bloody nightmare. This is. It's incredible.
Craig, before we go to our first guest, and I've got a feeling that we know how people are going to be feeling about this. What next for Tottenham? Who next? Who's going to be the next target?
That I cannot answer because we do daily updates. I do updates. You do updates. There's not really been much floating around for the number 10 because probably we all thought that, and perhaps Spurs did, that we had a number 10 in the bag. And like I say, anybody else, as far as I'm concerned now, they bring in is going to be a lesser player. It's. I mean, I'm lucky. I don't know too many Arsenal fans. I know Gary from this channel knows a load of Arsenal fans, and he's dealing with them right now. It's just incredible that we've managed to be pipped at the post by our nearest rivals. And that's made them stronger. Our ineptitude and our lack of professionalism and acting fast has strengthened our biggest rivals. Just think about that for a second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Christ Almighty.
There are so many people trying to get on this stream at the moment to talk to Craig and myself. So we've got a full waiting room at the moment. So please do keep trying because we do want to talk to you and get your opinions on this and the club going forward. We're going to go straight to Jar Wobble, channel regular. Jar, how are you?
Well, I'm very disappointed. I've already vented my spleen on a WhatsApp group, Tottenham WhatsApp group that I'm on. I didn't, by the time it got to a couple of days ago, I thought it was unlikely that the deal would happen. I felt something was wrong. Thought it would probably be Arsenal would come in. It appears that Parish has really played Daniel Levy, doesn't it? He's really played him. And as his agent, as Craig was saying, I think you'll see the deal will get done very quickly now. Whereas we would have been happy for him to play against the Dog and Duck tomorrow in the Conference League. Arsenal won't allow that to happen, guarantee. They'll act like a big club. They will get the job done really quickly. That will happen. When you think of terms now, I hate talking about brands and all that, but this is Tottenham's a brand, and everything's marketing and everything's brand management. It's such a bad look for the brand to appear so muggish. It's a real muggy look, to be played along like that. We all know fellas or women who have been played along in relationships, and you're saying to the person, you're the only person who can't see you're being played in this, sometimes in relationships. And, it just appears like Daniel Levy's been really played. I wonder what the other ENIC board members would make of this. It's a very, very bad look.
The thing is, though, Jar, the thing is, you close the deal. You get that deal done.
Well, it gets to the point a week ago, you close the deal. If you can't close the deal, you move on. You don't break negotiations off as such, but you walk away. You say, okay, you know where we are. If the situation changes, this is what we're offering. We're probably lowballing again, as we normally do, but we should have been then going off talking to other, talking to other players. When Paratici had commanded a bridge, so to speak, 3 or 4 years ago, we would be talking to 3 or 4 players or more at the same time. On the back of the Morgan Gibbs White debacle, it's a really poor look, and it's a shame because we won a major trophy. I was there Saturday. There's a great feel-good factor with the club. I think the squad's getting to be a very good squad. Kudos is a great addition, and it's so sad that the thing gets sullied again in such a fashion. You know, it looks really poor. It's such a poor look. This even tops the Willian jumping out the Kazi to go and join Chelsea story, doesn't it? Yeah, it's terrible. So just in terms of brand management, you know, you think it's a really bad look if you were the CEO of any big corporation, big global global brand. You know how you're seen to do negotiations and to be strong, you know, in negotiations and wise and intelligent. You know, that's so important. It just makes Tottenham look like a top banter club. And I think this kind of situation probably tends to happen when one person is just kind of goes off and just wants to handle the negotiation completely on their own. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I suspect. Whereas if you've got a team involved, you know, the team say, look, this doesn't feel good. How often do you get a top player, you know, with the club saying, oh, he's still in the plans for next week? As soon as that happened with the Chelsea game, I thought that's not serious. Imagine I go to a car dealer tomorrow, see a car I like, right? I want to take the car. It's a 2-year-old car. There's no problem with me with the insurance. Just to drive off the forecourt. I'm happy. Is your money?
Yep.
And the geezer says, well, I just want to take it for another spin myself tomorrow. Well, really? Well, fuck off. You know, I don't want to start swearing. Well, see you later. It doesn't, you know, that tells you everything.
Joe, can I just interrupt? Fabrizio Romano's just tweeted, Crystal Palace accept tonight's £60 million package from Arsenal for Eberechi as a agreement club to club done. Arsenal finalising contract terms with Eze, with player keen on joining.
Yeah, that's it. And he won't turn out against the dog and duck tomorrow. You can say that to Tottenham because Tottenham's just a muggy little team. It's just a joke with some little bald bloke who kind of does the negotiations. You can get away with anything with Tottenham. So it's a really bad look, you know, and they want to learn from this. I wonder how this will look to other board members at ENIC, to the Indian guys, Vivek, the Indian guy that's there now. I wonder what he'll think about this, you know. Because it's a really bad look. I wonder what Joe Lewis will think. I wonder what people in ENIC generally will think about it. It's a very bad look. It's a humiliating look. On the back of the Morgan Gibbs-White situation, it's awful. It's terrible, you know. And you should know, even with Morgan Gibbs-White, when you go into that, you should know, well, this Maragakis bloke can be a box of tricks. So let's go into this very carefully, you know. And because it could easily go sideways, so let's be very careful, you know, how we deal with it. But of course, no, we go in there, and it just looks. It's such a poor kind of look. Adjectives like desperate. We look desperate, you know. It looks botched. It's a botched job. It looks really amateur, you know. It's not. It's really you understand? It's a really bad look for the club, you know. And you know. Parish, it looks to me as if Parish has wiped the floor with Levy over this, and you know they'll be dining out on this because so much for Daniel Levy being this top businessman guy. It looks like they're being absolutely played. I'm sure Eze's agent will be having a laugh. I'm sure Morgan Gibbs-White's agent's had a laugh. Yeah, you know, so. ENIC need to learn this. Maybe I'm wrong. I would have thought Daniel Levy was the main guy leading the negotiations. I would have thought. Maybe I'm wrong. If that's the case, I don't think that should be allowed to happen again. If I was him, I wouldn't allow it to happen again. They move on. I think Lookman and Paqueta will be the two players who they'll look at. I think they'll look at them simply because I think Thomas Frank wants players who have got proven Premiership quality, and that Lookman's a very good player, by the way. When he was at Fulham, he really impressed me. You know, he's a good player. Not sure it's Eze. You know, one of the other ramifications of this with Eze, he could be the player that wins Arsenal the title now. By the way, because he's a match winner. Yeah, he could be the final bit of their jigsaw. They were looking incomplete to me up to this point. Now I'm not so sure. They've now got pace down the flanks. They've got, you've got two great creative players, Odegaard and now Rezzi's going to go there. They've got two really good holding players. They're pretty much a complete team. Good keeper. So he's the final part of the jigsaw now, I think. So it's very, very poor from Tottenham. The thing that would compound it for me, if I found out we were offering, well, we give you 55 million, right, plus 4,200,000 add-ons, that might have screwed it up as well. What you should do, you go in and you offer 60 mil, take it or leave it. You know if a player's interested because they'll want to sign the contract. Ezzy will have ink on that contract by midnight tonight. Yeah, I would have thought, or certainly by certain the medical's done and all that. It'll all be done. All these top clubs get their business done really quickly.
That's what I was going to say, John. It was so obvious and so widely reported that Arsenal were interested, and they spoke to him at the end of July. They spoke to him. Everyone knew that Arsenal were interested in Eze. Now, when Spurs knew and found out about the Havertz injury, like all we did, online, you would think that Spurs would get that deal done today. They should have said, this must be done today. We want this completed today. We don't want Eze playing in that game in the Europa Conference League on Thursday. We've got to get this deal done. No matter whether it's in football or, any business, you want to close that deal as soon as possible.
That's absolutely right. And, what you don't do, you then publicise it. We're walking away from the deal, so you look strong, you look strong, you look special, you don't make yourself look weak. And all this talk, I know the Isaac, the Newcastle striker, that's got messy. I know, with the possibility of going to Liverpool and his bad feeling and all that. But by and large, you look how Liverpool got their business done early, quickly. You don't want to be pissing about in negotiations, and lowballing. You need to get it done quickly. You want to get these players in early in the pre-season. So you look at how Liverpool conducted their business, Chelsea conducted their business. Even Manchester United have had problems, but they have made some quick moves as well. It's a slow market, it's an awkward market, but the big clubs step up to the plate and get the business done. That's the difference. Manchester City, those top four clubs are going to be in the top four because they get the best players, they get them quickly. If you look at how Forest have done their business, look at they've got a good set. That Douglas Luiz are joining them. No fuss. There's no the negotiations are not too protracted because everybody basically knows the price of everything in football, as everyone knows the price of everything in the music business or any business. Everyone knows the basic price, and sometimes you're better off just to pay $1 million or two, over what you might pay, because to be holding up the negotiations, you risk losing the player. But in this case, it just looks like Tottenham have been played. And that's not, for us as Spurs fans, it's not a good look, is it?
Joe, last question, because we've got loads of people to get through. Daniel Levy came out and said a few weeks ago that we want to be challenging on all fronts. How the hell do we do that now?
Well, I still think it's a really good squad. I think it's a good squad. You had the likes of Lookman. I doubt that they're going to get the guy from City, because that's last week. I thought it's not going to happen. It looks unlikely. You can get the likes of Lookman in, just go and pay what's required, or maybe Paqueta, who is a decent player, actually. There's a good player in there with him. You get him in from West Ham, maybe, and then you maybe go and get another striker. I totally agree with what you lads were saying about Richarlison. Just as this guy's getting confidence, there's a story like we're going to part exchange him for Eze. What the I can only think that's out of desperation, because they've got wind of Arsenal coming in, and we'll give you Richarlison, please. Don't do this to us. That's what it sounds like. The whole thing looks absolutely weak, and people at ENIC should just think, right, that's the last fucking time anyone takes the piss out of us like this in these sort of transfer negotiations. This has gone on for days and days. And on the back of the Morgan Gibbs White, it's really not good enough. This is not absolutely not a masterclass in the art of the deal. Parish has come out of this smelling of roses. That's my fault. I'm very disappointed.
Jar, thanks for joining us, and we'll try and get you on the podcast again very soon.
Thanks, lads. Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Right, we're now going to go to Steve in Czech Republic. Steve, how are you?
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah. Well, I've heard what most of you guys have said, both you two and the guy just before, summed it up pretty well. There's not a lot to add. It's just so embarrassing. I was talking to a mate of mine in Prague just before, and I was saying before a few days back, I was saying this is starting to smell funny. This one, I was never 100% convinced. Wanted to be, of course, but I really, if I had to choose, I didn't think this would happen. But on the back of my mind, I was thinking what a nightmare it would be, and that's how it's turned out. So.
You said it though, Steve. A deal was agreed today. A deal was agreed with Tottenham earlier today. But my point and my disappointment, and I completely agree with you, it is embarrassing. That is the correct word. It is embarrassing for our football club. It's embarrassing for us fans because we've all been hyped up about getting in, such a quality player, with Premier League experience, and we know this player can do X, Y, and Z, and
exactly.
we've walked straight into this team. But my big struggle at the moment is I just cannot understand how Spurs have just simply not completed the deal today.
Completed the deal. I know. It sounds to me like all of you have reiterated that it looks like we've lowballed them again, gone in with like the 55 with add-ons, rather than just saying, how much do you want? How much do you want up front? I know in a business kind of way, and get the deal done. Get it done. Like we've been saying, you've got to get these things sorted out. You can't be messing about all the time. We needed that player, like Craig has intimated that this player could win them the title as well. How bad is that going to look at the end of the season if that actually happens? It's never ending. It's so bad for us. It's
Steve, apparently, David Ormstein has tweeted or posted, and he said that Arsenal reach agreement in principle with Palace to sign Eberechi as a deal worth around expired £68 million release clause, matching what Spurs were ready to pay. Personal terms close. 27-year-old plays for Crystal Palace on Thursday before AFC medical on Friday. I'm guessing that will be. So it sounds like they've bid the same amount we did, perhaps with simpler add-ons. I don't know, but it's probably that there is a little bit of the only comfort is the players chosen Arsenal. What I mean by that is he's clearly an Arsenal fan, but I come back to it and what Chris said, we've had days to get this done and we've dilly-dallied.
Yeah.
So,
exactly.
Exactly.
Had about a week. It's
But where do we go, Steve? Who do you bring in that is on par with Eze? Because for me, I can't think of anybody out there. I really can't.
As the chap before just said, this Adelema Lukman, who used to play for Everton, and has gone into Serie A, and apparently he's done very well there. But he's not, to me. I don't know. I'm not an expert in how he compares with Eze. Somebody was comparing him on a site I looked at, and he compared favourably, but it's for me, it's just bollocks. Sorry for my
not for me. Look,
I'm just not interested. If he failed at Everton, what we're thinking of him now, it's different. We know most of the players in those leagues are not up to the Premier League. Only the exceptional ones come from Serie A generally, and if they're not, then they flop here. So to me, that doesn't wash. And to be honest, I don't really want to hear about anyone else. It's just after the.
But the thing is, Steve, it is how we move on from this because, of course, we're all annoyed. We're all super annoyed tonight, and it's an understatement. But it is now how Spurs pull one out the bag because I feel at the moment there is going to be a lot of discontent aimed at the board yet again. for not delivering and letting this one slip through the net, if that's the right term. I know Craig's picked me up on that term already this evening, because it looked like Eze was, a dead cert, and all of the in the knows, all of the very reliable journalists stated that this one was going to get over the line. It was going to get done. He would be wearing a Spurs shirt in the very, very near future. But how do Spurs move on from this? What is going to make you happy again as a Tottenham fan, having seen Morgan Gibbs-White and now Eze slip through the net?
That's a really tough question. I mean, I don't really know who's in the offing. Who would smooth that over, if you like, for want of a better expression. I mean, like I said, bringing in Lookman, I don't see it. Other players bandied about. They're talking about the Crystal Palace captain as well. I don't know why. We're not interested in anyone at the back at the moment. We need the 10. We need a 10 and possibly another striker. And
then you're going to go and overpay, Steve. That's the thing. We're going to be if they realise the board aren't that thick, surely that they realise how the fan base is going to be feeding now, and the fans are not going to accept mediocre players to come in now after Eberechi Eze.
And neither should Thomas Frank. And neither should Thomas Frank accept these types of players, because,
100%.
like we've said so many times, a player like Eze, Premier League experience, one of the best midfielders in the country, as is Morgan Gibbs-White. Who else is going to have that Premier League experience, who's going to now come to Spurs, who we're going to be paying that kind of money, who is of that mould, who is going to be fitting in? And, my big worry is that, we to go around in circles again, not have a really, really decent window that a manager deserves to be taking us, forward in the Premier League. And how many times have we heard this phrase of, we want to be fighting on all fronts? If we want to be fighting on all fronts, you need players like Eze in. And to get players like Eze in, you need to close that deal. You need to close the deal. I cannot believe how this has been done.
No, it's so amateurish, from the people who are involved in the transfer. It's so bad. I mean, they messed up with Morgan Gibbs-White. I mean, they didn't do their homework there, or due diligence, whatever you want to call it. So that was by the by, and it was a blow, a big blow, and an embarrassment. Now we got this. Like you said, the deal was there to be done. Why don't you like I said, what's the difference? A few million here or there. They've had a massive injection of money, but they need the player anyway, regardless of extra money coming in. And he can be the difference between actually winning on one of those fronts and not winning on one of those fronts. And the whole fan base would have been united a little bit more behind the board and Levy, and now they're not. Absolutely. They've added more disgruntled fans to the fan base who are Levy out. It's so I think we need to sort of sleep on it, and then we'll just see who they're going to come up with.
Yeah.
Obviously they will. Well, hopefully we'll get other people, but it's at the moment I can't take it in. I can't. I mean, who do you know?
I've no doubt we're going to get other people in, Steve, but it's the quality of those people. That's what I worry about, because we as a football club and the manager, they should always be demanding the absolute best. And I said on an update the other day that I felt so excited about this Eze signing, and I haven't felt as excited since us bringing in Klinsmann in 1994 to bring in a player so ready to go into the team and make a real impact. Steve, we've got so many people to talk to. So,
Chris and Craig, sorry, it's on. We're meeting again under these circumstances, but next time we'll see.
Cheers, Steve.
We'll speak to you soon.
All right. All
cheers.
Bye, mate.
Right, we're now going to go to Billy. Darren, we'll come to you next. Billy, how are you?
I'm okay, Chris. Well, so I'm okay. I was relaxing. I was half expecting this deal to fall through, if I'm honest with you, because it's just taken so long. I'm not surprised. I don't even know if I'm angry anymore, because it's just the expected, isn't it, under this regime? After the Michael Gibbs-White debacle, you just don't know what to expect. As for the Ademoyo Lookman one, do you know, that would remind me of going back to Clinton and G and George Kevin Nakudu.
Exactly. It's that sort of levels, isn't it? Yeah, you're right, Billy.
Like, I'm not being funny. The Saviola deal, if we can get that over the line, might help. But don't seem like City want to play ball with us. But
Well,
I don't.
that's a good point. That's a good
But
point,
what?
Billy, because the Savinho deal, if Spurs were to get that deal done,
Sorry.
if they were going to get that deal done, we'd need to break the bank. It would need to be the record signing. Is he worth the money, in your opinion?
Don't really know enough about him, if I'm honest. So I can't give judgment on that. I don't watch a lot of City games, but people say he is. Some people say he isn't. Do you think he is?
I think he's a top quality player. I think that he can put a
If
lot
he
of very, very decent
if he is
crosses and
top,
balls into the
we'd have
box.
two. So we've got two players who can put balls into the back of into crosses into the box.
Yeah,
We've got two strikers who can thrive on them if we
yeah.
can keep them fit. That is, because Richie does look a better player, but we all know he's an injury away from being out for 6 months.
Craig, sorry for interrupting, but I want to ask you this, Billy. We're 12 days away from transfer deadline day, and we still haven't signed a number 10. We wanted a number 10 on the first day of the transfer window. Of course, James Maddison's out injured for most of the season. Kulusevski's out injured. What do Spurs need to do now? Because we need to move quick. I felt at the start of the window, Spurs had so much to do to be fighting on all fronts. And when you hear Daniel Levy, Vinay, and Johan Langer saying that we want to be fighting on all fronts, Thomas Frank said exactly the same thing. We've got to be moving quicker. We've got to be moving quicker, and especially when you're so close to signing a player of Eze's caliber, you've got to close that deal. You have to.
The only thing I did, Eze has been my dream signing for 2 years. Well, basically 3, baby. You said he was the most exciting since Klinsmann. I'd say Van der Vaart.
Good player, very good player. Yeah.
They're that close. That's the level of signing I want to see come to the club. We pay extortionate money to go and watch our team play, and we do not get in return off our board the level of signings to what we're charged. Yet people will still find an excuse to blame Parish. Parish is hard to deal with. It can't be that hard to deal with, can he? Arsenal have turned it around in 24 hours.
Well,
Yeah.
less.
Billy, who's to blame, do you think? Who's to blame for this?
Well, I'm not going to lie.
Debacle.
I blame Daniel Levy when I've got my cornflakes wake up in the morning and they're soggy. So
You think it's all Levy's fault, do you? Or
it can't all just be put on Levy. I mean, I don't like the person.
There's no doubt about it. Tottenham Hotspur needed to close this deal.
Well documented my thoughts on Daniel Levy, but the way the club's run as a whole is just diabolical. I mean, everything else, the infrastructure, they're getting the planning permission, this, that, and the other, getting the towers, everything's put in front of the football team. If they put half as much effort into just looking at buying these players, getting these deals over the line, because they can get all that over the line very quickly, but they don't. It's all to save a couple of £1 million, whereas all the other stuff's just going to earn them more money. Now,
Billy, last question for you. What needs to happen now? What needs to happen now in the next 12 days in this transfer window before the window closes to make you feel excited?
We either need to go and find a player who, I'm not going to name one because I haven't got one in mind. We need to go and find a very creative number 10. I think we probably do need to break the bank for this. What's his name?
Savinho.
I can't pronounce his name. I'm sorry. I do apologise for that. But break the bank for him because he's quality. He can put a ball in. You look at Richie's 2 goals the other day from Kudos. If he's got crosses coming in like that from both sides, Solanke thrives on crosses. His best season under Bournemouth was 19 goals, wasn't it? And he was getting balls into the box. I personally think they're both backup strikers, but you'll get a lot more from them with wingers. So get the Savinho deal done. Go and find a number 10. Or I'm just going to, if you don't mind me plugging it, I think Change for Tottenham should start protesting again. We got we got derailed for it the other day. Not many people turned up. I've had arguments with friends over it. Oh yeah, this is happening, that's happening. I said, come back to me in a week when we actually sign the players and tell me how you feel. I didn't personally make it because I got there late, but I stood by my people.
Billy, of course, you mentioned change for Spurs. Of course, we've had change for Spurs on a couple of times in the last 6 months or so. What do you expect to change? Because Daniel Levy and the board, they must have really felt the heat at the end of last season. I know we went on to win the Europa League, which of course it finished very successful, and a lot of us were, super happy that we haven't felt in such a long time winning a trophy. But there was a lot of discontent, aimed at the board last season. I think a lot of people felt that things were going to change when we signed Mohamed Kudus, £55 million. Kota Takai came in for £5 million. Then, of course, within 24 hours, we were putting in a £60 million bid for Morgan Gibbs-White. A lot of people felt at that point that we were going to show real ambition in this transfer window. Of course, Morgan Gibbs-White didn't get done. This Eze one now isn't going to get done. And it's like a double, now in the coffin, because, of course, he's moving to our biggest rivals. What needs to change?
Let's face it, Morgan Gibbs-White has stayed at Nottingham Forest rather than come to the Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah.
I mean, does that show what players think of the club? I'd rather stay at Nottingham Forest. No disrespect to Nottingham Forest. They've won European Cups, but they've not been a big team for a very long time. And we aspire to be a big team, and we can't even get a player off them.
My point is, Billy, I think that the board are going to probably expect a lot of flack in the next, 12 days and beyond if we don't get a couple of, really ready-made Premier League players coming in.
Marquee signings, yeah.
Marquee signings, yeah.
Who would be your number 10, Chris, to go for now?
I don't know. I need to think about. I need to think about that one.
Do you know the only player that would really unite the fan base if they went for him is Harry Kane, and he ain't moving. He ain't coming back to Spurs this transfer window. Harry
Kane would be my dream player. Come back to Spurs. Chris knows he's my all-time favourite Spurs player. I bumped into Chris and Udane. We were happy. We had a good chat. We were happy. We were thinking everything's going well. We were unlucky. I'm not even gonna moan about that result because they just got a better bench than us. We managed to outplay the best team, in my opinion, in the world for 80 minutes. So why don't you build on that?
When we talk about Eze, though, Billy, I tell you, I've been hoping and praying that Spurs have gone out and signed Eze for the last 6 years. Even during his QPR days when we were linked with him, and I just cannot believe we've come that close to signing him, and now he's moving to our biggest rivals.
My nephew's a massive QPR fan, and he told me about Eze all them years ago.
Yeah,
and then I see him go out and do what he done at Palace. Sorry, got Forest on the brain because of Michael Gibbs-White. But I was just chilling indoors. I didn't even realise this deal with Arsenal had been done so quick. Well, that's what surprised me, the quickness of it, because everyone says Parish is impossible to deal with. Well, he clearly isn't. So where is the issue? It's clearly got to be with our club. It might not be Daniel Levy as such. I personally believe it is. But there's something seriously wrong, deep-rooted in negotiations with our club. We will not break the bank to buy them players.
They need to do things differently, and this is exactly why change for Spurs has come about, because they want to see some people want to see small changes, some people want to see big changes, but there definitely needs to be some sort of change at the football club in the way that we do things, in the way that we approach transfers. I completely agree with you, Billy. Completely agree. Billy, always great to talk to you. We'll talk to you again very soon.
No worries. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Right, we're now going to go to Darren. Darren, how are you?
Hello, mate. Well, I messaged you and I said I don't want to come on because I can't be bothered with sort of negativity and ranting. But I'm trying to get some work done, and this is just stewing at the back of my mind. I can't believe he's done it again. I cannot believe he's done it again.
In fairness, Darren, none of us want to be sitting here talking about Eze moving to Arsenal. None of us want to be sitting here. But I tell you what, there is just under 10,000 people watching this across YouTube, Facebook, and X. So please do keep your comments coming in. I normally try and read every comment coming in, but they're coming in so quick. I can't quite keep up. But please do keep them coming in, and we'll try and get through a lot of them. Darren, what next for Tottenham, and what must Thomas Frank be feeling?
I mean, Levy manages to suck the joy out of everything. If you think, you and I were partying in the high road, with everyone, with Ricky and Craig and Callie, and, it was just like Christmas morning. And all right, we lost Ange. We've got Frank, who I think is going to be good for us. I hope he's going to be good for us. I think his tactics look to be great. But you think, as I've said to you in the past, Chris, the Europa League winners, Champions League football, at the top tier of football now, you think that people will be crawling over at each other to get to us, to want to play for Tottenham Hotspur. One of the best stadiums in the world, one of the best training grounds in the world, Champions League football, Super Cup finalists. I mean, it's just, and we're back to square one. It's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. I don't get it. I understand that Eze's, childhood football club was Arsenal, but his signature was practically on the paper. It was a done deal. I don't get what Daniel Levy. It's like Billy said. I think we're absolutely cursed. When I've said it before to you, Chris, when Mourinho came, you think, one of the greatest managers ever in world football, been there, seen it, done it, won everything. Would Levy back him? No, he doesn't. Got rid of him. In comes Conte, one of the greatest managers in world football, been there, seen it, done it, won everything. Does Levy give him all the tools? No, he doesn't. It's just repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. And now we've finally won our trophy, finally won our European trophy, Chris, and in the Champions League, we still can't get bloody players. I mean, it's like, is it Steve in Poland says? When Morgan Gibbs-White wants to... no, sorry, it was Billy who said it. When Morgan Gibbs-White chooses Nottingham Forest, and again, no disrespect to Nottingham Forest with all their European pedigree in the past, when he chooses them over Tottenham with Champions League football, it's like, come on, man. What do we have to do?
Yeah.
As long as Levy is still in charge of this club, we are going backwards. As long as that man is still in charge of our club, it's going to be rinse and repeat. And this, I'm sorry to be dramatic, is heartbreaking. It's absolutely heartbreaking. I don't get it.
Darren, how the hell do we recover from this in 1.5 weeks left in the window? Who do we go and get? What happens now? Do you think they've actually got a plan B? Because they clearly didn't after Gibbs-White fell through.
Well, I don't know. Is he going to put all his stock in Savinho now and try and get him? I mean, how much money do they want for him?
They won't pay 67 million. They refuse. There was a post on X a little while ago. They're interested in Savinho, but don't want to pay Man City's 67 million valuation.
Well, clearly they didn't want to meet Palace's valuation of 68 million. So it's just ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. I've said it to you before, and I'm sorry to be a broken record. We need a number 10 and we need a striker because we are one injury away from fucking everything. We got the Premier League, we got the Carabao Cup, we got the FA Cup and the Champions League. God forbid Richarlison or Solanke gets injured. That's it. We cannot keep relying on midfielders popping up with the occasional goal. And yes, I understand that Johnson was our best, highest goal scorer last season, but he's not a striker. We can't rely on the occasional goal from midfielders. We haven't had a bloody out-and-out striker since Kane and Son. And when that relationship, that partnership collapsed, when Kane went, we haven't had an out-and-out striker. It's ridiculous. Why doesn't Levy see what we see as fans? He watches more games than us. Maybe not you, Chris, but he watches more games than bloody, every other poor sod. Why can't he see what we see?
Well, apparently Thomas Frank wants 2 number 10s to replace James Maddison.
Does he?
So we haven't even got one over the line now. It's just, I'm actually a loss for
I'm
it.
sorry, I'll say it again. We need a striker, because this is my cat's tail that's in and out of the picture. We need a striker, because if Richarlison's injured or something happens to Solanke, that's it. That's it. I just don't get where the goals are coming from.
Yeah.
He's done it again. He's done it again. He would suck the joy out of Christmas, that man. He really would. He really would. And, you know, this thing of being Spursy, this thing of being, sorry, lads, it's only Tottenham. I mean, I hate to say it, but here we are again.
Darren, how are you feeling about the season overall? Of course, this is very, very disappointing not to get the Eze deal over the line, but how are you feeling overall? Are you feeling optimistic under Thomas Frank?
Well, I like Frank. From what I've seen of him, all right, we're a game in and we've beaten Burnley. That, you know, we haven't beaten you know. But I like the cut of his jib. I like, from what I've seen of his tactics. I think Kudus is fantastic. I think Paulinho, I think, is going to be a real asset to us. More protection for our defence. I mean, I'm pretty optimistic about the spine of the team until we get to that final third. Until we get, you know, our midfield, we got more midfielders and wingers than we know what to do with now. But it's that number 10 and it's the striker. And I thought this would be the answer, and he's ballsed it up again. In answer to your question, I am fairly optimistic, but I'm also incredibly worried because I just don't see where the goals are going to come from. I don't. And I don't get why Levy doesn't, as you've said time and time again, hasn't absolutely fallen over himself to get that deal done. Here it is. Here's the money. Sign on the dotted line. Thank you. We're off. And the fact that it's those arseholes down the road, and that what's his face, DT, the one that I think it was. I think I'm right in saying he's just come out of bleeding prison. There's a video doing the rounds. He said, "Over my dead body," he said, "I'm telling you now, Tottenham will not get Eze." And I looked at that a couple of hours and I went, you what a joker you are. And it seems the silly sod's going to be right.
Yeah.
Darren, thanks so much for joining us.
Sorry, mate. I don't know what to say.
No, neither do I. Neither do I. We're 53 minutes in, and honestly, I don't know what to say anymore.
He would suck the joy out of Christmas. He really would, that guy. I mean, I'm thinking back to that parade. And you think, actually, here's a point. You would think, guys, that as soon as the hangover subsided on that Monday morning, they would be in the office, all of them, going, right, let's go. Who are we getting? Come on, we got Champions League money. We're playing at the top table in Europe. Who are we going to get? Come on, let's go for it now.
Do you know the one thing? And I don't think I've ever said this on a live stream before, but the one thing I absolutely hate about being a Spurs fan is that the happiness don't ever seem to last for very long. You seem to have that happiness, and you think you're having a really good day, you think you're having a really good week, and then bang, something negative happens, something happens to put you in a really shitty mood, and the happiness lasts for a little while, and the bad bits seem to last for a lot longer. And you're right, Darren, when you talk about that parade of how happy we all felt, we were all there together, you know, on top of the world, feeling, you know, absolutely brilliant about winning a trophy, etc. And you would think that, you know, when the club come out and actually say those words, we want to be fighting on all fronts, you know, 22 league defeats under Ange, not good enough, blah, blah, blah. We want to be fighting on all fronts. We want to be winning trophies all the time, etc. You know, show the ambition in the transfer window. We can't get to the end of the window and say, you know, we tried for Morgan Gibbs-White. Oh, we tried for Eze, but sorry, we didn't get him over the line. You need to make sure those deals happen. Top businessmen do not walk away from deals without, you know, getting the signature on the paper. You need to close that deal. You know, 100%. Even after.
And it's empty words, mate. It's empty words. I haven't seen the last interview with. I saw the one with Vinay, but I didn't see the one with Gary Neville yet. And I'm not going to watch it. What is the point of listening to empty words, listening to hollow promises? It means nothing. And the bastard won't probably show his head for another 2 years. That's the last we'll see of him. He won't put his head above the parapet now. What's he going to say to us? What is he going to say to us after those interviews? We want
Well,
to
they need to really, Levy needs to, I mean, I can't believe that the owners, I mean, obviously Levy doesn't own the club, remember, but if you owned this club and see the absolute debacle that's gone on with Morgan Gibbs-White and now Eberechi Eze, I mean, it's a dereliction of duty. If that had been somebody else, they'd have got the boot tomorrow. It's bloody awful. This is absolutely awful. If you're performing that badly in your job, you should be out on your ear. I'm sorry.
100%. And he's proven himself to be a thick-skinned bloody. He has to sit through people saying, "I don't care about Levy. Levy don't care about me." Week after week after week, and what does he do? Stare at his shoes. I mean, he's so thick-skinned. He doesn't care. He doesn't care about this club. He doesn't care about us. He doesn't care about the fans. The highest bloody tickets in Europe or something. 9th richest club in the world. Is that right, Chris? Something like that. He doesn't care about
short
us.
of a few quid. Yeah, it's disgusting. Yeah, I'm getting more annoyed as the minutes go on. I'm sure we all are, but it's kind of good to have this therapy session. And thank you, by the way, to the over 10,000 viewers we've got at the moment, which is, it's probably a record, bizarrely, but it's just a shame it has to come in these circumstances. But
anyway, guys, listen, thank you for letting me rant. I wasn't going to come on, but I mean, I feel a little bit better. But I mean, I don't know what to say. And then, in a couple of hours, it'll be all over bloody Sky Sports News, and I'm not sitting through that shit. I refuse to. I'm going to go and do some grouting.
Yeah, I think I need to be busy for the next couple of days and not do any updates about Eberechi Eze to Arsenal. I tell you, it's the worst case scenario. Darren, thanks so much for joining us. We'll talk to you soon.
Cheers, lots of love, guys. Thank you.
Take care, buddy.
Honestly, let's go to Melvin. We'll come to you next. We're going to go to Si first. Si, how are you?
Personally, great. Business is brilliant. Tottenham Hotspur, complete shambles.
So my first question to you, Si, is you are a businessman. So how do you walk away from a deal like this without getting signatures on paper?
You do it because you're incompetent. That's what happens. And the thing is, we dilly-dallied, farted around, and, it might have been a play by Eze to drag it out. Who knows? But the bottom line for me is, Levy went on the overlap and said, I only get involved when the deals need doing. Well, you're pathetic then, aren't you? Because Morgan Gibbs-White, you couldn't get that one. We can go back to the history, DeBarlo, whoever you want to go back. It's the same thing. He came out and said, I'm the one that does the deals. So on that basis, you're absolutely pathetic. And the other issue associated to it is the fact that Eze would have been homegrown. We still have a homegrown issue. So people are saying, who are we going to go and get? Well, one of the players we get needs to be a homegrown player. So are we saying that the great white hope of Harvey Elliott is our saviour? Is that the solution for what we want? Or are we saying that, the great white hope of Nathan Collins is the homegrown player we want and we're going to go and get somebody else? But as a businessman, I've heard people, particularly a certain individual that I'm not going to name, who tell me that you can't blame the CEO for stuff that happens. Well, you can, because ultimately the CEO sets the direction and the tone for the business. And our CEO isn't good enough when it comes to footballing matters. Brilliant property developer, isn't he? But when it comes to football matters, absolutely pathetic. And then it all stems from there, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, where do we go though, Si? Where do we go from here? What do we do? Which players do we bring in that is on a par with Eze or even better? Because
I've been saying all along, in my opinion, we're not going to get Savinho because the deal would be too expensive. And everybody's been slating me for saying you're being negative. Well, I'm not. I'm just being realistic. Because we know what happens. Who are we going to get? Well, Lord only knows at this point. I don't think we're getting Savinho, that's for sure. I I don't want players of the quality of Lookman, as everybody else has said earlier. Do I want Harvey Elliott as our number 10? No. So the bottom line for me is I'm like with Chris, I have absolutely no idea where we go. I haven't got a clue. Just not a clue.
No, it's horrendous.
Sorry, is there a part of you that felt in the last couple of months that the club would change in some way for, in a positive way, that we move forward and want to be challenging on all fronts? Because when the board come out and say it, and the CEO, the chairman, Johan Langer, you've got Thomas Frank, they're all saying exactly the same thing, all being very aligned in saying we want to be fighting on all fronts.
Sure.
Now, with the transfer window, like I said, it looked like Spurs were showing real ambition by going out and saying we want to sign Morgan Gibbs-White. That was a wow moment. All of us. I don't think there was a single Spurs fan that didn't go, wow, oh my God, we've signed Mohamed Kudus. We're now going to sign Morgan Gibbs-White. We're spending £120 million in a week. Bloody hell. We were all super excited.
Sure.
And then, Eze. Everyone's like, wow, okay, we've missed out on Morgan Gibbs-White. Now we're going to sign Eze. This is a real statement of signing. This is super exciting. When you look at that, and when you look at what Spurs have tried to do, but obviously failed to get these deals over the line, is there a part of you that think, well, they do want to change, they do want to show real ambition, they do want to, fight on all fronts, they do want to win things? Because I'm not being funny. Anyone, it don't matter who you are, if you were at that parade or watched that parade and had the goosebumps on your arms and the hair on the back of your head, everyone would think, wow, we want this all the time.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. What I would say is words, everybody can line up with words, can't they? But you have to back it up with action. And if you really wanted Morgan Gibbs-White and you really wanted Eberechi Eze, the easiest thing to get Eze would have been to pay the release clause, and it would have all been done and dusted. But we decided, no, we've got to get 5 million off here or 10 million off there. Morgan Gibbs-White, if he really wanted it, don't just offer him the release calls. We top it up a bit afterwards when we've been caught with our pants down. Go and get him. Pay the money if you really want that player, or if your manager really wants that player. There's no excuses for it. Absolutely no excuses whatsoever for me. And look, let's go back to the Kudus deal. The Kudus deal was opportunistic. West Ham needed money, so we could do a deal at a price that was opportunistic. Well, is that showing ambition, or is that thinking, well, if I wanted to buy him, normally it cost me 75 million, and now I'm going to get him for 55 million? But ultimately, for me, if you want to get the players, I don't see Arsenal having any problems getting Eze. Do you? They offered the 68 million that Palace wanted for him. I didn't see Liverpool having problems with Frimpong or Kirkes or whatever else. They knew the price and they go and pay it. That's the problem. We're not prepared to pay the market rate. And one other point I want to make is I think Daniel Levy has burnt so many bridges with other clubs and other chairmen because of his zero-sum game of transfer negotiations. Nobody wants to particularly do business with him. What was it Alex Ferguson said? It was more painful than a hip operation. Well, if you're going to do that,
root canal treatment.
Yeah, sorry. And then the other one was with Man City. Pep hates Levy, and City hate Levy because he's the poster boy for financial fair play. That's not Levy's fault. But they don't like him. So if they've got, and I just think we'll go back to the other things, it's been proven. If anybody else offers 68 million for Eze, they get him. We didn't bother. We didn't want to offer. We wanted to give half of Richie's leg and a bit of Brian Hill's moustache and, unlimited access to the skywalk to get Eze. Just go and pay the 68 million before the release clause expired. If he's the player you want.
So you're probably the channel's finance expert, to be honest with you, and we probably will eventually get around to doing your finance video. And as by a remarkable coincidence, I think I've got to have root canal treatment tomorrow. So that's really made my week. But in all seriousness, you hit the nail on the head there. If a release clause is there for a reason, right? If there's a player that, just tell me, am I oversimplifying this?
Hold on, Craig. Hold on. Fabrizio Romano has just given the here we go.
Great. If there's a release clause and you want the player, yeah, all right, 68 million. Would you just go in 65? Something like that. If you really want the player, or would you just go in at 68, say, right, there's a release clause. We're going to pay 60 million up front and we'll give you 8 million next season or whatever it is. I don't know.
Yeah.
Surely Arsenal have proved that it is easy to do it that quick.
Right. Let me tell you this. They have proved it, but there's another point to this. If you are this astute, canny, wonderful businessman that Daniel Levy is, okay, go and get Eze. Instead of finishing 17th, finish 7th. You get 30 more million quid. Finish 7th for the next 3 seasons. That's 90 million in, and he cost you 68. The maths isn't difficult, is it?
Yeah.
You 22 million quid up. That excludes shirt sales, merchandise, and everything else. And yet this bloke is held up to be the bastion of, the poster boy of how to run a football club. No, he's a poster boy for how to run a property development company. I'll give him that, but not a football club. And like I was saying, just finish 10 players higher than we did last year in the league, and you get 30 million quid a season more than you would have had if you finished 17th.
Yeah. Do you know what's interesting? Fabrizio Romano's latest tweet, the here we go. The last paragraph or the last line is Arsenal win race over Tottenham, been in advanced talks for days but never sealed. That's the first I've heard of the fact that last I heard Arsenal were out of the deal completely.
I think he might be referring to Tottenham being in advanced talks for days.
Yeah.
But never. Oh, right. Yeah. I see what you mean. Yeah. Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah. And I was going to say, I hadn't heard anything about that.
So, last question for you. What players who do you think now that Spurs could be interested in? Because there seems to be a very common theme here in this transfer window. They seem to be having Premier League experience. You mentioned about homegrown players as well. Apart from Harvey Elliott, anyone else?
I honestly can't think of anybody who is a number 10 that we could get in the price range that Daniel Levy wants to buy at. I just cannot think of a single player that we can get that fits the bill. Like I said, the only other option for me, if you've got to have another homegrown player, is you have to get, either Robinson from Fulham, who does qualify as a homegrown player, believe it or not, even though he's American international, or you go and get Nathan Collins from Brentford and fix up the bits you're trying to do at the back. But I just cannot think of players that are of a quality that will improve us that meet the homegrown quota. I can't see them out there, mate. I would love to tell you a name, but I can't think of any. So I just think we've missed a massive opportunity here. We missed a massive opportunity with Gibbs White.
Yep.
And it's just history repeating itself over and over and over again. And like I said, if I hadn't have heard, like everybody else did, that we want to win the league, we want to win the Premier League, and then on the overlap, I only get involved when we're at the point of sealing the deal. Well, you're not good enough, mate, because you're not sealing the deals.
I said at the time, actually, on a Tottenham news update, I said as soon as I heard Daniel Levy come out and say we want to be fighting on all fronts, I thought that, and I actually come out and said it, that will probably come back to bite them in they're putting more pressure on themselves, because I think a lot of people expected a lot more. But had they not have said that, I tell you what, Si, we haven't done enough in this transfer window. And
no, not at all.
I feel that I say that a lot in transfer windows. If we want to be fighting on all fronts, especially the Champions League, we know that Champions League campaign is going to be very, very difficult. And, let's be honest, frank about it. And, with the deepest respect. You know, Europa League is very, very different to playing Champions League. And, you know, when you look at the teams that we've faced, even in pre-season, you know, Bayern Munich, that was a big eye-opener. I know the players were tired, but that was a big eye-opener in terms of quality difference and squad difference. You know, even when they brought a lot of their youngsters on and played a second string 11 in that second half, they tore us apart. That PSG game, although Thomas Frank set us up really, really well, it is not sustainable to be playing your, you know, full 11, you know, that starting 11 throughout the whole of the Champions League campaign and Premier League games. So it's going to be very, very difficult. We need depth. So we know that we can talk for hours, but we haven't got hours, and we've got a lot of people waiting. So we'll get you on very soon and talk more.
Well, love to you both, and love to all the Spurs fans, and grit your teeth and try and bear it for the next 11 days when we do next to bugger all. That's how I feel. All right, guys.
Well, perhaps we'll get you on transfer deadline day, Si, to review the window. So, yeah, we'll speak to you soon.
That'll be about a 5-minute show.
Yeah.
Not the way he goes on. Cheers, Si.
See you, Si.
Oh, honestly. Melvin, we'll come to you now. Jamie, we'll come to you next. Thanks for joining us. Melvin, how are you?
Hello, Melvin.
Pissed off.
Yeah.
Who's responsible for this? Seriously, who's responsible for this?
Well, the buck stops at the top, mate, is my opinion.
When Ange Postecoglou got sacked, an Australian guy messaged me and he said, "Why did Tottenham Hotspur sack Ange Postecoglou?" And I replied in a voice note and I said, "This football club is run by a bunch of cunts." And I feel that's the exact feeling I feel at the moment. I'm sorry for swearing, but I'm really pissed off. Honestly, I'm pissed off. It's the same thing again and again and again and again. And at what time do you just say, what are they doing? What are these guys doing? They're amateurs. They're amateurs. Our football club at times is a joke. It's a joke. Why are we doing this? Why? Especially after a Europa League win, finally we gained some respect. Finally we gained some happiness and joy. And I've been away from Twitter, WhatsApp, YouTube, and I've tried to enjoy my summer because I know Daniel Levy would do this to me. I know the club would do this to me. And they sucked me in because you hear, you know, getting close. Why do we keep fucking around? You know, if it wasn't, this is a fact. Eze has been offered to the club since the Europa League final. At the end of the final, Eze has been an option for the football club. He's been an option since all summer, and they fucked around all summer. And they could have gotten him over the line. And they waited and waited and waited. There's the money's there. The space was there for him to play. Was it because Madison potentially got injured and they looked at him? I don't know. But this club keeps doing this sort of thing. How many players did we miss out on? How many players? Honestly, it just starts off the season really, really badly. I feel terrible. I'm going to sleep, and I had a family dinner, and I came and I opened my phone, expecting to see, here we go for Spurs for Eze. And I told my friend that today, I said, we might sign Eze today. We might get, you know, some sort of ITK that we're gonna get him. It's disappointing, especially after such a good start to the season. And I was very happy with the victory. And I'm sure Thomas Frank doesn't need this at the moment. He needs, you know, reinforcements, more players, more experience. Champions League football is coming up soon. The fixtures will come up soon. The group stages will come out soon. It's just, I don't know. It's just who's in charge? Who's to blame? These idiots keep doing this sort of stuff. And honestly, this is why fans get so angry online. This is why fans protest. This is why there was massive uproar last season and there was massive numbers at these protests. It's because we're sick of this kind of stuff. Honestly, I'm not one of the guys who's constantly Levy out, Ange out, or whatever, or Enoch out, because Ange is out now. but I'm usually mainly positive. But now it's difficult to be positive when this stuff keeps happening. We're going to spend another 10 years of this stuff. How long have we been patient with this club, with these owners, with this direction? It
The
makes me
thing is,
sick.
Owen, the thing is, it's quite simple, isn't it? We knew, everyone knew. It weren't like the Morgan Gibbs White release clause. You know, everyone has known about the Eze release clause. £60 million, £8 million in add-ons, £68 million in total. If Spurs wanted to get that deal done at the start of the window, they knew that they could go to Crystal Palace and say, "There's your £68 million, done deal." Both Spurs and Arsenal have both left it to the very last minute, or actually past the release clause date, and they've tried to get a deal done. So we've taken time. We've spent weeks on this possible deal. Thomas Frank has come out and said a number of times that Daniel Levy, Vinay Venkatesham and Johan Lange are working day and night. They are working really, really hard on sealing this deal. In my opinion, they haven't worked hard enough, because I just cannot see how you can walk away without getting a deal signed and agreed and done and dusted. You do not do that in any business terms at all. No matter what you're buying, no matter what you're selling, you make sure that that deal is signed on the dotted line. Honestly, I'm absolutely baffled and really angry about it, how we can walk away and not get this deal over the line when this player would have been a game changer for us. I've no doubt that a lot of Spurs fans will change their opinion about Eze and on what type of player he is now. Let's face it and be frank and honest about it. He is an exceptional talent. He is a fantastic player. He is going to make a big difference for them. He would have made a big difference for us. I'm gutted about this, but my big question is, how on earth can you walk away from a deal like that and not get it sealed and sorted? Honestly, I'm so annoyed about it.
I think Arsenal were in a position to gamble and take risks because they've got their signings in already. They were working on really big deals, really big signings. We were not in a position to gamble.
But they've got this done within a matter of hours. This is what makes it even more embarrassing.
Because
as a Spurs fan,
they've got their signings over the line.
We've been negotiating for weeks, and they've done it. They've sorted it within hours.
Yeah, they knew what would take probably for the deal to get over the line, and they literally just with a snap of
4 p.m. they started negotiating, and what is it now? Just gone 10. So they've got the deal done in 5 hours.
It's embarrassing because I thought, Fabio Paratici has a few quotes, and he says it's better to overpay and get your main target over the line at times. It's better to overpay. So not
if you want quality in your team, someone to be a real impact player and make a real difference and be a superstar at your club, and that's what Eze would have done. He would have been a superstar at Tottenham. He would have been, a real game changer. I can't tell you how disappointed I am that we haven't got this player again over the line. It makes it even 10 times worse the fact that he's joining Arsenal, and it makes it even worse the fact that, like Craig has said there and alluded to, the fact that it has been done so quickly. But honestly, I don't know where we go from here.
How many players can we name that our club has fucked around with and then other clubs have signed? Honestly, it's happened too many times in the past. Too many times that we're really close to signing, and we were there within talks. And if we only pushed a little bit harder, or maybe paid a little bit more money, and we could have signed these world-class players that would have done that did incredible things for other clubs, but not for us. How many times are we're gonna suffer because of this stuff? The stuff that I don't know why the club keeps doing this continuously. Honestly, the moments like this really make me so angry at the club and want to swear and want to shout, because I want to call them idiots, morons. I want to call them every single name under the sun, because they are idiots at times. They have to be naive to do this kind of thing. Why not buy the player that the club desperately needs to stay in the Champions League, so we keep the Champions League revenue, because they all care about is money. If they wanted to save that extra 2% in wages or transfers, think, if I'm not in the Champions League next season, I'm going to miss out on 10 times that amount of money. For some reason, the club doesn't Ange Postecoglou gave us this magic thing where he brought us Champions League football, Champions League revenue, and the pull of Champions League football. And now we're going to fuck around again and not try our absolute hardest to stay in Champions League football again. Try to compete at the highest level. Because honestly, I'm so angry today. I wanted to come and say my part, but at the same time, I really didn't, because I know I was going to be negative and really upset. But
there's no way to be positive, though, Melvin. You know, these people, you've hit the nail on the head there. It's a really good point. These people are supposed to be running this club, right? And yeah, it's like Si said, really good real estate stuff. We've heard it all before. I'm sick of hearing it. Lovely stadium, lovely training ground, lovely comfy pillows at the training ground. And now it's time to get it right on the field. Daniel Levy comes out and says we want to challenge on all 4 fronts or 5 fronts, whatever many competitions we're in. Is this challenging on all fronts? Is it backing Thomas Frank? No, in no way, shape, or form.
Do you know what though, Craig? I think there is a big expectation of Thomas Frank getting the best out of players. I feel like Spurs wanted to make a difference in signing a couple of, really decent signings, Mohamed Kudus, and getting Eze in over the line. But I think there is a big expectation of Thomas Frank improving what he's got.
Yeah, I say one thing, but he needs. Sorry, Melvin. He needs players in. The squad isn't deep enough. He will improve players. We've seen that with Richarlison straight away. Richarlison staying fit, he's playing well. One swallow doesn't make a summer. I've used that phrase a couple of times, but fair play to Richie. But we need strength and depth. Eze would have. You asked me the other night, Chris, what I'd give the transfer window so far. I think I said 3, and you thought I was being harsh, so I think I've raised it to 4. With Eze, I said 7 or 8. Right now, we're back down in the 3.5 for me, because it's just not good enough. We deserve better as a football club. We deserve better as fans. And all I want to do is see the people at the top do your job. Just do your job. Get the players in. You've had months to prepare for this transfer window. And what have we done? We've sat on our hands. We've dallied around. We've messed around with Morgan Gibbs-White. They didn't have a plan B. That's absolutely plain to see. Decided to go in for Eze only because James Maddison got injured. They've messed around with him, and now we've lost it. We're penny pinching. I am just absolutely sick of it. I'm absolutely sick of it and so frustrated and annoyed. You go every game, Chris. I don't go to every game. I'm not lucky enough to have a season ticket, but I go to which games I can. I spend money with the club. Melvin spends money. He comes over and watches games. There's fans all around the world get up at stupid o'clock to watch this club. And they are not backing this manager. And they are not performing how we all want them to perform. And I'm absolutely sick of it. It's disgusting. It's a dereliction of duty. They absolutely need to take a long, hard look at themselves, because this and losing Eze to our biggest rivals, strengthening them and putting them probably in a position where they could win the league because of us. We could have had Eze, like you say, he was in the basket, he was in the palm of our hand, and we've lost him. Who do we get in now? I'm sorry, I'm just so annoyed.
Melvin, have you got anything else to add?
Yeah. We all know Ange Postecoglou was set up to fail from the moment he took over the club. And it just feels to me that Thomas Frank could do a lot better if he had the right players, if he had better players, if he had more depth. I mean, it's not the absolute end of the world that we didn't get him, but it's a real shame, especially what Craig said. What if Arsenal go on to win the league by a couple of points? And the Eze transfer could have, hindered that potentially. They could even, make fun of us for that eventually. This is the kind of things the club does that you think, if only they pushed a little bit harder or done things like with a big club mentality, because sometimes we still lack the big club mentality. I don't think we've ever had. The only times we've ever had the big club mentality is when we sacked managers. When we sacked Pochettino, for example, I thought the club is acting with a big club mentality, but sadly we've only acted like a big club in the wrong moments, and we never act like a big club. Never. We don't do things like big clubs. We only do things when Levy's pockets are questioned, or it seems to be financial decisions that make, for example, finishing 17th, put the club in danger of not getting European money, not getting Premier League money. It's moments like this that make me feel that this club only operates, with money in mind, and it just makes me sick. It makes me sick, this club, sometimes. I love this club with all my heart, and I want to see it do the absolute best. But moments like this, Chris, it just makes me sick. It makes me absolute sick. I'm gonna go to sleep tonight absolutely fuming, and in my mind thinking, what's the point sometimes? What is the point? Because I love this club and I want to do well. And Saturday was a great day for me, especially because obviously I got married. But at the same time, we had an immense victory. And I'm so happy for Richarlison. I want to say that as well, even on this stream, which has nothing to do with him. But I'm so happy for Richarlison because I love Richarlison and he's a great player. And I was so happy for him to score. And a friend of mine made fun of me before the game for saying I really rate Richarlison. And it's great to see him have a great start to the season. But moving forward, I'm happy with Thomas Frank. It's a shame we did not get him the players he deserves. And please, please, please do not set up another manager to fail, because Thomas Frank is a good manager. He's a good coach, and he's bringing out the best of what we have. Please give him better talent. Please. Enoch, Daniel Levy, Vinay, because Chris, you're massive. The board sees this. The guys at the club will see this. Please give our manager the best players they can fucking get, because I'm sick of waiting and I'm sick of setting up managers to fail. Thomas Frank is a good manager. And if we continue this path, in a couple of years, he'll be sacked again. And we'll be back to square one. So please, today, give him the players he deserves.
Melvin, congratulations on getting married, by the way, on Saturday. I hope the day went extremely well, and we'll talk about that more. But thanks so much for coming on, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. I'll speak to you soon, hopefully in a better tone and about something positive, maybe a Spurs victory, and all the best, guys. But good night.
Cheers, Melvin. Craig, we did expect a lot of people to be coming on here very annoyed tonight and showing frustration and most importantly, passion, because we're all passionate fans. We all want the best for our football club, especially when the club come out and say those words. We want to be fighting on all fronts. Well, of course, we all know as Spurs fans what we need to be fighting on all fronts, and we are short at the moment. And like Melvin said there, we want the best. We want the best players. Back the manager. That's all we ever want to see is a manager backed. I'm so sorry for keeping everyone waiting. We are trying to get through as many people as possible. I know that we've still got a full green room here. We are going to go to Jamie over in the States. Jamie, how are you?
Great. I mean, great. I'm completely decimated, but it's great to be on the show finally. Hi, boys. Listen, it's been a very Charles Dickens week for me. I told you, Chris, I had my first trip back to London in 17 years. I'm in LA. I went to the stadium with my kid. The most amazing, screaming for joy. It was so great. And then come back to this. It's, it's just a roller coaster being a Spurs fan. I'm ready to set up a Tottenham supporters rehab over here. It's pretty bad. But, I don't know. I missed the first 45 minutes of your show, so I'm not sure if anyone said this, but yes, everything everyone's been saying about Levy and the negotiations, it is ridiculous. It's been days and days and days. But at the end of the day, it does show you, I'm thinking about Mbeumo with United and Eze with Arsenal. It does say something, your childhood dream club. We're passionate, man, about our clubs. And I wonder if all the stalling tactics, that there was a story behind the scenes that they were delaying and delaying because he secretly really wanted to have his Arsenal move. And yeah, they couldn't have planned the Havertz thing, but I just wonder. It's been stalling. I mean, and all of a sudden he's not going to play on Thursday, Eze? All of a sudden. They managed to probably not put him in the squad for Thursday bet, right? Now we got the here we go. So I don't know. Something feels really dodgy. Levy's no mug. but clearly he didn't get it done. And I just wonder, same way they didn't get Mbeumo done, if that was even a real thing back in the day. But yeah, I don't trust the integrity of the messaging we're getting either. I definitely wouldn't trust that.
Yeah, I do agree, actually, stepping out of it for a second, that it was clear that Eze wanted Arsenal. I agree with you, Jamie. I think we can all see that. And if it had been round the other way, then, he'd have come to Tottenham, let's face it. It probably would have been done. Was there an element of Eze holding out for Arsenal? But it did seem, and we're told, like you say, we can only go on what we're told, that he was keen to come to Spurs, play Champions League football, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So you can only go on what you're told. But
yeah,
I mean, where do we go, Jamie, from here? I mean, what I've asked this to several guests, and I don't think anybody can give me an answer, because I don't think there is one. But where do you go now?
Well, I have a thought. So I don't believe for one second we were really seriously going to get Savinho and Eze together. So now that we've just saved 60 million, let's spend 80 on Savinho. If he's that good, and I haven't seen a lot of him, to be honest, other than looking at clips, which you can never tell from clips. But let's just put all the money in one player. We need one really good superstar. That's what we need. Creative superstar. And with all the names that are left, there's no one out there really other than him. And I can't say I'm experienced enough to see him play week in, week out to know that it's really worth it. But we've obviously got enough money. And by the way, Arsenal didn't spend 70 million quid, it was 60. So clearly they didn't outbid us financially. It's clearly not that. If we go on what we're being told, it's the same money, right? So, go out, if City want 78 million euros, whatever it is, 70 million pounds, spend the money. Who else are we going to get?
The thing is, though, Jamie, for me, is when you have a quality product, if you walked into a shop and there is one product and you want that product,
yeah,
you're not going to go to the shopkeeper, are you, and say, well, you've only got this one product, and but I don't want to pay that price. I want to give you 10 quid less or whatever. When you see that product and that product is available and it is a one-off, like Eze,
yeah,
why are you sodding about, with the price? Surely, like I said earlier about the release clause, they knew it was 60 million pounds plus 8 million. They could have got this done at the start of the window. They could have got this done a week or two ago before the release clause actually expired. And then, of course, it was a different ball game. And then it was new negotiations. I just cannot get my head round. You then sort a deal. You verbally agree a deal. You verbally agree the deal with the player, terms, etc. And then you walk away. I just cannot understand it from a business point of view, why you would leave that deal without getting something signed.
Well, I'll just tell you as a shrink, all right, the ego is a powerful thing. And you've got two men in a power struggle between Parish and, from what we can tell, between Parish and Levy, you've got two very powerful men playing a chess game. And Levy's lost. He lost to Marinakis. He lost to this one. I mean, how can you not end up with egg on your face? I agree. If it was as simple as just pay the 68, what is 8 million? You get 8 million for Brian Hill. It's like 8 million easy. Just give away for 8 million. There's your 8 million. It's not that complicated. So I don't think it's as simple as the numbers. If it was that simple, why would we not spend an extra 10? That's what I'm saying. Spend an extra 20 and get Savinho. If he's worth it, who else are we going to get?
But when Fabrizio Romano says about it was easier add-ons and a fast payment term. Surely you've got to do, when you want a quality product, when you want a quality player, and I tell you, the reason why I sound so disappointed is because I am, because this is a player that would have walked straight into our team, had a real impact, and would have been a real quality signing. Not just for this season, but years beyond. But easier add-ons and faster payment terms. Why did we go all out to just get this deal done and make it really easy for Crystal Palace and Eze to have no questions or qualms and just go done, as quickly as Arsenal? Like Craig said, negotiations start at 4 o'clock. By 10 o'clock, the deal's done. It's here we go.
It's insane. I mean, it's the same reason Liverpool, Chelsea, they just go and spend the money. You don't have the bank. You don't have a protracted 2-3 week. I get the Mbeumo thing's separate. But in terms of Liverpool, they just bought them. Just go in, pay the bill, boom, we're out. No haggling, no trying to get a good deal. Just get the player. And before anyone even knew they were on the market, ready to get them. By the way.
Yeah, and Man City. To be fair, I know, but they're Man City, yeah. Reinders, and Cherky. I think was the other player. two phenomenal players. They've just gone in, nice and quiet, paid the money, got the player, job done. We are just so unprofessional. I don't know if that's the right word, but it probably is.
Listen, it's a shame on so many levels because the feel good. I mean, you were there, Chris, on Saturday. The feel good. Like, I only have that to go on. It's my first time at the stadium. There was so much love in that stadium, even just little things. Because I was across the other stand from you. I was on the east stand, and just when Porro came over to take a corner, the clapping back and forth, the love between, the little things you don't see when you're watching on camera. By the way, little thing. There was so much love and appreciation from the supporters between players and back and forth. Like, it was a total love fest. It really is. I was kind of blown away by that because it's been so long. It's at least 20 years since I was at a game. I really felt that, and it's just to be able to go from that love and that's. And by the way, I don't know if anyone said this. Now you throw Richarlison under the bus and let him know that you don't really want him. You literally will. The guy plays a blinder, an absolute goal of the season. It was right in front of me. It was unbelievable. And they're like, we'll just chuck him in then. What are you going to do for his confidence now? He's such a confidence, emotional player. And now, how is he going to feel? Anyway, I don't know if anyone brought that up. It can't go well for his confidence, knowing they would literally, Thomas Frank must have greenlit it on some level. That can't bode well. I was heartbroken when I saw that, by the way, all of a sudden. Wissa over Richarlison, when he's just completely fought through everything he's had to get through to be at the top of his game now and be injury-free. I was
going to say, Jamie, it's an interesting one with Richarlison because I feel like before Saturday, most people would have had Richarlison on their list of players to go out the door.
100%. That performance literally, I think, has turned all the heads. Because he loves this club. He loves this club. And this is such a passionate, emotional, personal game. That's why I'm going back to, and it's not to defend anything. Eze clearly loves Arsenal and Bomo clearly loves United. There's something to be said for that, right? Had you thrown enough money at it, he was clearly willing because he wanted to get out of Palace and he wanted to step up. But if you said to him, what would be your dream move? It was Arsenal. You can't compete with that. Fair enough, for whatever reason. It's like trying to convince us to support another team. My kid, by the way, he's 10, right? So Saturday was amazing. On Wednesday, we went to my friend who took me to the game. We went to watch the Super Cup game at his place. We were watching, right? Unbelievably exciting. When they won on penalties, my kid burst into tears for 20 minutes. He's 10, burst into tears. It's like when it's in your DNA, it's in your DNA. He was crying all the way back on the tube, right? And then on Saturday, great. We got to jump up and down with tears of joy. It was amazing. But there is something to be said that the love between supporters and players, you know what it's like. You go to a game, we score, you hug the person next to you, a complete stranger. Only in England will that happen at a game, by the way. There's no other touchy-feely times, but it's such a shame because it's really, now we're going to see protests and all the bullshit's coming back and the booing, and it's a bummer, to say the least, because it really could have, I think Thomas Frank is exceptional. A class act on every level. Like, I know you've been saying this, Chris, about how much interaction he's got on the pitch and in coaching. I'm so impressed with the team he put together. I mean, you can feel it. You can feel there's a real, there's mastery in this guy. I know he hasn't won anything yet. He's going to, clearly. I'm blown away by that. And it makes you feel really confident that when we play the big boys, he's got a plan for it. We witnessed it last Wednesday. It was unbelievable. That was unbelievable. Not so much in the preseason games, but it didn't matter because it's preseason. But I feel confident that we can take on anyone. If you had Eze in there, we'd have been top 4 or 5. Absolutely no, 100%. And that one player makes a difference. And by the way, Havertz gets injured within hours. They've replaced him. It's been 3 weeks without Maddison. I know someone said this earlier. It's ridiculous. We're going to be in bang trouble. And we got rid of Donnelly and we got rid of Alfie Devine. I mean, they could have stepped up.
That's a really good point because it's not like we haven't been here before when we've had so many injuries and then it's derailed our season. We've seen that for the last couple of seasons, certainly under Ange Postecoglou. So, the depth is so important in these games.
Yeah, it's a bit mind blowing. It's mind blowing. It's just, again, it's a bummer because I'm on such a high from Saturday. Honestly, it's so nostalgic for me, and to now have to deal with this. And I'm getting up at 4:30 in the morning, by the way, on Saturday to watch the City game. It's a 12:30 kickoff for you. It's 4:30 in the morning. I'm going to get up despite all the bullshit. I'm still going to be up there with my kid, no matter what. We don't stop our passion. It's just a bummer because it literally, I believe, this one player could have taken us to the next level. And I don't know any other players that would do that, honestly, other than Savinho or some. I mean, there's all these names that none of us have ever heard that we're going to go YouTube. Akalushin, I don't know these guys. You might, but I don't.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Jamie, last question first. Sorry, we still got a full green room.
Yeah, no, I get you.
Yeah. Oh God, this club. Sorry, I'm still sitting. I'm just getting it's supposed to be a therapy session, but you're still sitting here wound up, and perhaps I need to book in for a session with you one-on-one.
Just have me on an emergency dial for all Spurs supporters, and I'll be
yeah, that would be really helpful.
I was going to say, Jamie, we could put a lot of referrals your way. Shall we have a referral link?
Anytime. Chris, my kid's a huge fan. He was looking for you all over the stadium. He is. He's obsessed. It's really cute. So happy to be on anytime. Love to all the Spurs fans back in England. And there's a ton of Spurs fans out here, by the way. It's tons. There are so many fans in LA. You'd be blown away. And now we've got Sonny, which is cute, right? It's cute.
Yeah.
Between Sonny and I thought Lloris was the last few seasons, couldn't wait to get rid of him. Now it's fun to go see him. So yeah, anyway, we'll all be in it together. We'll see. I'm not holding my breath, but I still think we'll have a good season. We're just not going to maybe get top 4, but we'll see. Anyway, thanks for having me on, boys.
Cheers,
Jamie, always a great guest, and hopefully we can get you on again very soon.
Anytime.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye. Right, we're now going to go to Darren in America. Darren, how are you?
Oh, I'm looking at the 5 stages of grief here, and I think I've skipped the first 3. I've just gone straight to depression. I was watching your videos coming out and talking about we're throwing Richarlison into the mix. I'm like, what the bloody hell's going on here? And then you release another one. Arsenal's come in for him, and I just sat in my chair for like 5 minutes staring at the wall, like I just can't believe it. It's that sense of deja vu, right? We've been here before, and every season you're like, oh, it's a new season, new manager, we're going to do things different this time, and we don't, and we're just sort of back where we were. And I think I said this last time I was on. My worry is, we get 18 months in with Thomas Frank, and it's sort of not going quite according to plan, and then he gets the boot and we start all over again, and it's just pointless. Like, we're just going around in circles. And to have the Europa League win and that success and all the celebrations around it and the momentum, and it could all be for nothing. Like, that's what you want to build on, and potentially it could all be for nothing. So I mean, I'm trying to, the optimist in me is trying to sort of look at it and look at solutions. And, I've been looking at, while I've been listening to you guys and hearing your guests, when's Kulusevski coming back? But that might not be, it might be September at the earliest, but then there are some dates that say October. Obviously, Matters probably out until Christmas, the New Year. But of course, even when they get back, they're not match fit. So then I'm thinking, well, who have we got? Who's going to come in? We still got Manor Solomon as well, which potentially he could be good for us, but I don't know. It seems like he's sort of not wanted. But if you're going to shift like Kudus into the middle, then do you have Johnson out on the right? We've got Odegaard and Tell, who are sort of not. They're okay, but they're not up to speed. It's kind of difficult to be super optimistic and excited.
That's a good point, Darren. Craig, let me come to you on that, because Thomas Frank was asked this a week or so ago about putting Mohamed Kudus in the number 10. Do you think we're going to end the window with Mohamed Kudus being our number 10?
Who'd have thought it? I mean, it could, so much has happened. It wouldn't be surprised at all. The thing is, and kind of to answer your question, surely the board have to look at this now. And, now is not the time to do an evaluation of your performance in the transfer window as a company. Now is the time to go after game-changing top targets. Now you've managed to lose 2 of your best targets, right? So they need to plough money in, pay whatever, even pay over the odds. They need to sort this out, because if they're going to, even if they care to win favour with the fans, they've got to put in a performance themselves over this next week and a half. We've got to go and Thomas Frank believes he wants 2 number 10s. That's what they've got to give him, because Kudus has been sensational on the wing. I'm sure he can play number 10 as well, but I think you're taking him out of his best position as far as I can tell and see, and what I've seen of him at West Ham. So, yes, he can fill a hole. I'm fed up with people filling holes. We had Archie Gray filling holes all over the place. It was like a bloody council worker filling in potholes in a road. That was Archie Gray last year, in everywhere apart from where he wants to play. And it just drives me insane. I mean, I'll ask you, Darren. We were joking the other night on I think it was a fan show we did the other night. I'm actually losing my mind. I can't even remember what day it is and when we did the fan show last time, because my head is scrambled. But we kind of joked, and Chris asked me, we kind of joked, what would you give the transfer window if it's slammed shut and we don't get Eze? And we all laughed because we thought, oh, we're going to get Eze. And now it's a reality. Isn't it a funny thing? But so what would you give the transfer window if it's shut tomorrow and we don't get anybody? What would you give it?
I mean, it's not good. See, the thing is, when you look at it, so we've had, I know you've said on the show, well, we got Danzo and we got Tell, but I don't really count them because they played for us already. We sort of knew that. To me, that's not signings. That's just the conclusion of business. That they're out on loan and we followed through with it. So really, we got Kota Takai, but I haven't seen head nor hair of him, and he's not going to make a difference offensively. And so really, we've just had the two players, Kudus and Paulinho, and yeah, I mean, obviously Kudus, we know he's good quality and he's going to be a good signing for us. I think that was a really good bit of business. Paulinho is ironically going to fill a hole, and he's a solid player. He's Premier League proven, but you look to like even Manchester United, and they've brought in Cunha and Buemo and Shesko. You could argue they've done better business than we have. And they brought in another player as well, the left back. But you could argue they've done better business than we have, and so that's just and they don't have to draw a Champions League football. So why are we not pushing home that advantage, if you want to call it that draw, that we should be able to get top quality players in? I say it all the time to myself that we don't act like a big club. Everyone's going about, Spurs, top 6 club. But when you look at all the Liverpool, Man City, Arsenal, all the business they're doing, we're not doing that business. We're not acting like them. And it's just beyond frustrating. And I've heard all the guests you've had on, and it's just, I'm in the same boat as all of them. Like I just, what do? I just go on supporting Spurs, and effectively what happens is my expectation just goes through the floor. So I don't. What do I expect this season? Not really much of anything, and it's sad because I don't want to crap on the players or Thomas Frank. I like Thomas Frank. I think we've got a good group of players, but we're short. We haven't got the depth. Maybe if we had a fully fit squad, then it's a different scenario, but even then I still think we need some players. So just same old.
Darren,
The realistic sorry Craig, I was going to say the realistic thing about it is, like you just said, we've brought 2 first team players in, Paulinho and Mohamed Kudus, and we're 2 injuries away from having the same squad and the same team as last year with 22 league defeats. I know that we've got a different manager with a different outlook, and you would hope that he would improve a lot of players as well, but we still need so much in terms of depth in this squad to help Thomas Frank. And the next 12 days I feel like are huge. I felt like this transfer window was huge for the football club anyway, but now we're 12 days left, and we've got so much catching up to do, because I know a lot of people don't like to focus on what other clubs have done, but you've got to look at how they have strengthened in this transfer window. It's been such a massive transfer window for so many clubs. The top clubs, the clubs even in that finished mid-table, the clubs even that finished down with Spurs, near 17th. You mentioned there, Darren, Manchester United. They've signed so much quality. They're going to be a very, very different outfit. I know they lost 1-0 to Arsenal the other day, but you can see signs that they are going to pick up a lot of points this season, going forward. So Spurs have so much to do, in my opinion.
Well,
Craig,
what about Sunderland? They got promoted, and they're doing probably more business than Spurs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They spent a lot of money, yeah.
Do you know what? Apparently, I don't know how true this is. Read on X that we actually inquired about Trossard. We've actually inquired about Trossard. Not now, by the way. I haven't read it for now, but again, somebody's posted on X. And this is so true. Hands down, my favourite thing about football is no matter what happens with any team, the joke is somehow always on Spurs. And I know that sounds like woe is me, but it feels like
Craig,
it's always us, isn't it?
I said this the moment that there is a news come through. It's like, if you think of the most ridiculous scenario and you say that, I often said, like, if you were an author and you wrote a book about Tottenham, I think if you'd sent it to the publisher would say, no, it's too far-fetched, no chance. It's like, you think of the unthinkable and it's Tottenham Hotspur. And I just want to come away from that Spursy tag. Winning the Europa League, I felt like we'd done that. But honestly, some of these things sometimes that happen to us, it's like, oh, come on. It's like, why are we always the laughing stock? Why is it always so embarrassing all the time? It's just so frustrating. I know there's been a few comments in here saying that we're being very emotional tonight, but I tell you, when you've been through the amount of stuff that we've been through as Spurs fans, it is very, very frustrating. Darren, thanks for joining us, and hopefully we can talk to you a lot longer next time. But we've got so many people to talk to, so thanks for joining us, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, thanks. Can I just say, please, to the fans, please get behind the players, get behind Thomas Frank. Do not be the toxic Spurs fans where we turn on the players, we turn on the manager. We've got to get behind our squad here, and maybe we can still get something positive out of this season. Thanks for having me on, gents. I'll catch you later.
Cheers.
See you, mate.
Yeah, I don't feel like anyone is against Thomas Frank and against the players right now. I feel like that all of the frustration is on the board at the minute, and all eyes are going to be on the board, and rightly so for not getting this one over the line. Next up, we're going to go to Charlie. Charlie, how are you?
Hi, Chris. Hi, Craig.
Hello, Charlie.
I'm very tired. I'm about to go to bed. You can probably see me. Yes, it's not good, is it? I wanted to come on here tonight and talk about a few things. Obviously, we all know the news about Eze. Here we go to Arsenal.
Yep.
Firstly, I've unfollowed Fabrizio Romano. He's given me all the hope for Morgan Gibbs-White. Here we go. It's happening. It hasn't happened. Eze, 85% done. Now, it's 100% done to Arsenal. And that's not his fault at all. That's more on Daniel Levy. We've got to get him out of the club. I think we can do as many sponsorship deals with Hugo Boss and all these Saudi Arabian wine companies and all this stuff. We can do all of it. But at the end of the day, Daniel Levy will never change, and he will try and save every single penny that he can. Every penny. And they're probably the two main talking points. That is exactly what he's going to do. And Tottenham will never change until Daniel Levy goes. Tomorrow, I am sending an email to the club, actually, because I'm so infuriated. I don't want to see Daniel Levy do another interview of Gary Neville and talk about why the Premier League is owned by the government and whatever rubbish that was, because I watched that. Biggest waste of 35 minutes of my life. I want him to go on an interview. A normal Tottenham fan like me, like you, Craig, like you, Chris, normal fan. I want him to be asked the proper questions. Why did you sack Pochettino? Why won't you get signings over the line? Why did you sack Ange? All of these questions, I want him to be asked, not the stupid ones that Neville was asking him. Because Neville, I promise you, those questions were given to Neville when he arrived. He didn't say, I'm going to ask you all this. And Neville wanted to ask him, why did you do this and that? But Neville had to ask him this because it wouldn't have been posted otherwise, and Levy would have just walked out. A disgraceful day. I'm infuriated.
Yeah, Charlie, you're obviously a lot younger than me and Chris, but would you say this is the most frustrating transfer window that you can remember?
It's up there. I'd say it is, actually. I saw a picture. I think I've come in here and spoken actually of the last time we were in the Champions League, and the signings we made. We bought Basuma, Richarlison, Perisic, Fraser Forster. I forgot the other ones. Royale was it?
Hold on a minute, Craig. We did go 518 days without signing a player.
There we go. There's another one.
There is that. Yeah, that was probably frustrating. Yeah, mate, you're
And
right.
so I thought this window we had to change. You know, we're in the Champions League again. Let's do better. Let's have a good window. I would give this window a solid. This is my. I don't move the player rating. This is my window rating. I will give it a -10 billion. We've signed 2 players, right? We obviously signed Danso and Taub, like people have said. That's last season. That's not this season. Koto Takai is for the future. Maybe in a few windows' time, we'll say we signed him. So we signed 2 players, Palinha and Kudus. I'm sorry, if you finish in 17th, any team who finished 17th, look at all the teams who finished 17th. Every single team who finished in that position in Premier League history would have signed more than 2 players. Tottenham are going to set another record that is embarrassing. We are embarrassing. Daniel Levy is embarrassing. It's a joke. And until he goes, Tottenham will not change. We have to drive him out the club. I can't. And also, Craig, the other night, me and you were talking on here. And you said, let's not get excited. And then I got a bit excited. I said, but you're right, Craig. Let's not get excited. Look, we got excited. And look what happened. He is now going to Arsenal. He is going to Woolwich.
Do you know what? That's a really good point because, Craig, you and I are of the age where we've been through a lot of these things before where we get excited about something and then we get disappointed. And then as time goes on and as we get older, we say to ourselves, we learn from experience. We're not going to go there. We're not going to go there. Like how we see all the youngsters getting all excited and we go, calm down a little bit. We've been around the block a little bit more than you. And, we're not going to get excited yet. Don't get excited, but I feel like me and you, we let ourselves go. We believed that this was going to happen.
I knew what you was going to say there. And I'd like to think I'm quite balanced and, like Charlie said there, the deal's not done yet or whatever I said the other night. But even me, over the last couple of days, I've just assumed, and how wrong I was, that this deal was going to get done. It was just a matter of time. And I was just so looking forward to one of the players I have followed and wanted at Tottenham since he was at QPR. I was so excited. And I had that feeling of excitement in here that I got when Bale came back to Spurs, who's my favourite ever Spurs player. That feeling of excitement when we signed Klinsmann. And I had that again for Eberechi Eze, and now he's gone. He's gone to our bitter rivals. And I just think it's inexcusable by this club and the board and the Langer and whoever else you want to blame. I just dismay because you can't get excited about anything. He's proved that until the player's holding the shirt up.
He said we want to win the Premier League and the Champions League. What man is saying we're going to win the Premier League and the Champions League one day and then going to sign 2 players in that window? 2 players.
Charlie, last question for you. The last 12 days of the window, what are your expectations? How many players will we be bringing in?
It's going to be this Bilal El Kanous. I understand Palace are close, but I can just see us coming and taking him. He's not what we need. He is going to be another Nuno, our 8th choice. It's going to... I think I'd love to see us go for Dibbling. I think he's a decent player and could, provide us with something. But, yeah, I can't see it being anything positive, It's Mr. Levy. What I want to see from this window is an interview with Levy. Someone, normal fan speaking to him, asking him the questions. Why did you sack Pochettino? Why did you do this? Why did you do that? This is what needs to happen because us fans have no clue what's going on, Chris. You're posting all this stuff all day. This is the news from the top outlets like Fabrizio Romano. And at the end of the day, I promise you, what Fabrizio Romano tweets isn't even 1% of what's going on. What we know isn't even 1% of what is going on. We need to know what's going on. I want to know what's been going on in the last few years. That All or Nothing series taught me nothing. I've almost given up hope with this club, and I'm so upset because I love Eze. I think he's one of the best players in the Premier League. He's exactly what Tottenham needed, and we've gone and bottled it. It's Spursy. We are Spursy. You cannot take that title away from us. All I'm going to say, though, to Eze, when you come to Tottenham, I will boo you. And congratulations, you've retired from winning trophies. Thank you for having me on. Good night.
Charlie, thank you so much. We'll speak to you soon.
Speak to you soon. Thank you.
Thanks, Charlie.
Honestly, tonight has been tough. We're going to go to Paul. Paul, how are you?
Yeah, not bad. Had better evenings, you, Chris.
Oh, wow. Honestly, you know, when you press that record button, you think, okay, we're now live and we've been talking now for 2 hours. And I tell you what, Paul, what is really interesting on these fan shows, and I love talking to all of you guys that kindly come on and give your thoughts. Everyone is saying exactly the same thing.
Yeah, I think they're all right, Chris. I can't disagree with what anyone's saying, really. We all share the same frustrations, don't we? I've got a part of a Spurs chat. Some of our mates down here in Cornwall, and someone posted literally 10 minutes ago, Dan, he said that a week ago we were 2-0 up in the Super Cup and we were about to sign Savinho and Eze. And a week later, and it's all kind of gone a bit wrong, isn't it? But yeah, like I said, I share the frustrations like everyone. It's I don't know. I think a lot of the media and social media accounts and things that they drip feed out these news, is it all 100% accurate? I'm not exactly sure. I think Arsenal have kind of been chipping away in the background with maybe his agent and things like that, because things have moved very, very quickly in a couple of hours, haven't they? They've kind of gone from Havertz having an injury to now all of a sudden he's here we go, and he's going to be paraded with a shirt first thing in the morning. It's yeah, so I don't know. I think a lot of it. I do put the blame on Levy quite a lot. Do you know what I mean? We've been sniffing around Eze for the last 10 days or so, and if you want a player, go and get him. It's I think the last lad Charlie said, he said that we have to win the Premier League. We want to win the Champions League. Well, start acting like a club that wants and has to do those things. It's you see Liverpool, see the players they went and signed. They spent big money. Within a matter of days of being linked to players, they went and got the deals done. But we just, I don't know. It's always penny pinching, isn't it? It's trying to get. I think I commented on a few things earlier. I'm convinced that Daniel Levy feels that he has to leave a deal where he's got the one-upmanship on whoever he's dealing with, and that's what it is. We move the goalposts on so many deals late on. Do you know what I mean? Like tonight, just coming out that we're adding Richarlison to the deal, and where's that going to leave him now? Do you know what I mean? If there is indeed any truth to that, you potentially now upset a player who's probably the fittest he's ever been since he joined Tottenham. His confidence is going to be sky high. He scored 2 goals at the weekend. He'll be buzzing for City on Saturday. And if there's any truth to that, he's going to be thinking, well, where's my future? Am I going to be here in 10, 12 days' time? Do you know what I mean? It's...
Paul, why do you think that news broke just before the Arsenal coming in for Eze news? Where do you think that came from? What and why? Because I was thinking, the first thing I thought was, it's gone a bit wrong, and they're desperate, and they're offering. Palace said they want a forward. We've offered Richarlison. Now, whether the club spoke to Richarlison, now would that news get leaked before the clubs even spoke to Richarlison if he wants to go? I don't know. Sometimes you hear it does, sometimes you hear it doesn't. Of course, Richarlison would have had to agree to that move, and from everything we understand, Richarlison's happy at Tottenham. So you're dead right. That's going to. If I was Richarlison, I'd think, whoa, hang on a minute. I'd be banging on Levy's door in the morning saying, hang on, what's going on here? Do you think it was desperation to get the deal done, or do you think it was something else? And I don't know what that something else is, by the way.
Yeah, I don't know what that something else is. I think transfer deals where it's a straight cash or whatever kind of terms they're buying a player on are complicated enough as it is. When you start chucking another player in the mix, you don't normally get that kind of freeway deal, do you? It's normally when you take both deals in isolation. I think we did one with Leeds, didn't we, with Joe Rodon and Archie Gray? They kind of both went at the same time, but they said each deal was independent of each other. I think maybe we kind of knew that Crystal Palace was sniffing around an attacker, and maybe Tottenham got wind of Arsenal kind of coming in for Eze again with Havertz getting injured. So maybe we just panicked and decided to throw Richarlison in the mix to hurry it along a bit. But I think ultimately it's coming down to money, isn't it? If Palace are going to say they want X, Y, and Z, go and pay the money. Do you know what I mean? You're not talking. I know it sounds funny when you're talking 65 million quid and numbers like this, saying it's not a lot, but for someone of his quality who can come straight into the 11 and have a massive impact, because I think if he goes to Arsenal, which it looks like he's going to have a massive part to play for their season. I think the guy is quality, and he's one of those players, like you said about with Bale, and one of these signings that you can get excited about. He is someone that gets you off the seat, like, and he's a Tottenham player, isn't he? He's got that swagger. I mean, I was watching him on. We've seen him week in, week out, haven't we? But watching the Chelsea game on Sunday at Stamford Bridge, he gets the ball, like, and he runs at players, and he's got that little swing of the hips, and do you know what I mean? He's one of those boys that you want to watch and gets you on the edge of a seat. And David Ginola, yeah, he has, and like you can see him in that white shirt. You know what I mean? He's a Tottenham player, isn't he? But unfortunately, the white shirt he's going to be wearing is Arsenal's third shirt, unfortunately. But yeah,
Paul,
I don't know. Sorry, Chris.
Well, what's your expectation for the next 12 days? Because, whether people want to see it the way that we're sitting here moaning about our transfer window, the bottom line is we need to do business. No matter what anyone says, we need to do business.
Yeah, I think it's been the case since the end of the season, isn't it? Or January, really. Do you know what I mean? Our league form has gone a bit tits up, and it's only the Europa League form and winning the trophy in the end that kind of saved our season from being an absolute catastrophe to almost like, a lot of fans would argue that we had a better season than Arsenal, so we finished second. So, but yeah, I think we desperately need bodies through the door. But again, do you know what I mean, Chris and Craig? It's every single summer, isn't it? We go into the final week saying we need these positions filled, we need quality through the door, and have we ever really got any confidence in it happening? The club, we've signed Kudus on a permanent, we've got Polina on a loan, which may well end up being a permanent deal, or is he just kind of a stopgap until Archie Gray gets a year to more experience? But the club will argue that we signed Tau and Danso, and that all comes off this year's budget. But again, I don't know, it's just our club farting around, isn't it? We made so many changes in the last few months at kind of boardroom level where you think, right, things are structuring, and we're kind of sorting it out. We've got the coaching staff, a new manager, we've got somebody on the first team coaching staff who's going to part of the academy pathway. So I don't know, we've got a lot of talented lads in like the under 18s with Williams, Barnett and people like this, but I don't know. I really don't know what our plan is. We just almost seem a bit panicky, scattergun. I don't know. I think it was Charlie again that alluded to Gary Neville's interview last week, and I was disappointed in that, to be honest. It was, 3/4 of an hour wasted. It was almost like a selling point for the stadium 6 years too late. Do you know what I mean? It was there was nothing. When I saw it advertised, I was expecting a Jim, the Jim Ratcliffe interview that Neville did. He really got to the crux of the problems with the club, didn't he? And challenged him on every argument he came back with. But he kind of just let Levy get away scot-free, didn't he? A little bit, I felt. But I don't know. Who does he answer to? Yeah.
Paul, lastly, if you had 5-10 minutes with Daniel Levy and the board, what would be your questions?
What would I say or do?
Yeah.
I don't know, mate.
I ask this because a lot of people say whenever Daniel Levy has done, the fans forums, that a lot of the questions are vetted and done beforehand. But he did that university interview, and it wasn't planned, by the way. And the club were very surprised that actually happened. That it turned into a lot of Tottenham questions, but I was kind of jealous, in that regard, because, me being a podcaster and me going all over and watching Spurs, I'd love to have that time with Daniel Levy and asking direct questions about, why this, why that, why don't we do this, why do we do things this way? I'd love to do that because I could sit there and ask questions to someone all day long about Tottenham, but when you've got the chairman in front of you, I could literally bang out questions and ask him very direct questions that I'd love to know the answers to. But that opportunity has never happened. I've asked the club, I've approached the club, I've even written and said, look, can this happen?
Yeah.
And it's always been a no. It'll be interesting to see if clubs do that in the future with the likes of podcasters, YouTubers, etc., or normal fans. But what would you ask?
I would kind of say, what is the club's priority? I don't think they get that direct question. They always skirt around it, and like you say, with the university, I mean, maybe it's not quite the right audience for people to sit down with Daniel Levy. Are they proper fans? Are they going to ask the proper questions? Do you know what I mean? There's so much going on off the pitch where
They did ask a few juicy ones. I might add. They put some good questions in front of him.
I do remember. Honestly, I do remember the piece you're referring to, but I can't remember exactly what was asked. But I think, like every fan, we would kind of want to know what the club's priorities are. Why do we keep kind of messing around with transfers? I mean, we've been linked with so many players that are coming even later in the windows than now. You mean Morientes, Eden Hazard, Mane, Samuel, what's he called? Willian, the chap that goes to Chelsea. All of these players that are pretty much Tottenham players, and all of a sudden it just doesn't happen. I don't know. I don't know what the club's plan is anymore. You mean we've got so many good fans that turn up? You mean next home game that ground will be sold out? The weekend after it will again. Does Levy really care what we think? And like you say, like if he's going to sit down and do a fan forum with somebody like yourself or any other group of fans, what is he going to gain out of that? All he's going to get is bombarded with accusations, and he's not going to win.
They're never going to. He'll never do it. It's never going to happen because they can't control the questions, and they're going to be very difficult questions.
Yeah.
So he'll never do it.
No, never. It won't. It won't. Which is why I was surprised that Jim Ratcliffe did the United one, because that was so open, and I would love to see.
Fair play for doing.
Oh, absolutely. But I think he probably had a lot to justify, which maybe Daniel Levy has as well. Or he definitely has. But why would he sit down and do that? He would just get battered, and it's probably an ego thing. Again, do you know what I mean? He won't walk away with his head held high, will he? Well, he might in his own head, but not as far as everyone else is concerned. But
Paul, great to talk to you again. And I'm sorry it's under these circumstances, but please come back again and on another fan show, because it's great to talk to you, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Have a good night. Cheers.
Cheers, Paul.
Right, we're now going to go to Luke. Luke, how are you?
Oh, not brilliant, as I imagine most people are feeling.
Are you surprised?
No, I'm not surprised at all, actually, which is the saddest thing. And that young chap you had on earlier, I feel sorry for him because he's got decades more of this to come. But unfortunately, I think, I don't know if this makes people feel better or worse, but the speed at which Arsenal moves deserves a bit of context for us looking at, really, because they actually, I think we all accepted back in July, it looked like Arsenal were in for Eze and it was going to happen. They made contact with Crystal Palace then. They sounded out how much he wanted in terms of his wages and what the structure of payment was and what Palace wanted. So they had all that information. Levy must have known that Arsenal had all of that in hand, and that if they wanted to make a move, they could actually do it really very quickly. And also his history with them means that he would prefer a move. So the time frame in which we've been waiting for this deal to happen for us is negligence, really. It seems to me that he knew that if they wanted to act, they could move very quickly, and if it did happen, if they showed any interest, it would be over. And so whilst everyone's saying, well, it's all about how fast Arsenal have moved, it's actually the focus is how slow Spurs have been. And it's do you mind if I just answer a question you asked the previous guest, which was about what you would ask Levy if you had
go for it
a minute with him? And I think the key question and I'd want him to answer this in front of every Spurs fan, and this would illuminate exactly the problem we have, is if you asked him, what do you think the fans are upset about? What do you actually think they're upset about? Because if he couldn't answer that question, he does not understand the problems with the club. And either because he doesn't see it through naivety, I don't believe that, or because he just it's smoke and mirrors. He's got other agendas and he doesn't want to.
Do you know what?
Obvious.
Sorry to interrupt you, Luke. This is why I think it's great doing these fan shows, because we never know. Craig and I, press that record button and we say hello, and then we bring all of you guys on to talk about what you want to talk about. We don't know what's coming. We don't know what you're going to say to us, and we don't know what subjects you want to talk about. And I know we ask questions to a lot of you, but you're very welcome to come on and talk about whatever you want to talk about. But there is a common theme. Everyone has said exactly the same thing tonight.
Yeah, and it's also you alluded to it earlier. You've been supporting the club for long enough that it's someone said someone said, "Oh, you're being too emotional," but it's been literally 2 decades of this. It's constant, and it's after a while you think it's not a coincidence, is it? It can't be. It's happened so often that we just seem to never get deals over the line. We don't want to pay the wages, or we don't want to pay the structure of it. If we'd have last Friday, if we'd have paid the release clause for Eze, he would have been a Spurs player, and Arsenal wouldn't have had a say in it. You look at the market now. In fact, I can give you. I've been working a bit on stats around Spurs, and there's some depressing ones here around how many players we've signed in the last 5 years that have either Premier League, Champions League experience, or both. And we are not only behind the other 5 teams in the so-called top 6, but Brighton, Aston Villa, and Newcastle have also signed more players with Premier League, Champions League, or both experience than us in the last 5 years. In fact, we're currently sitting on 16. Brighton are on 23. Newcastle are on 21. Aston Villa are on 33. Man City are now on 21. Man United and Chelsea both in the high 30s. Liverpool and Arsenal in the mid 20s. And we're on 15, 16 in the last 5 years. So it's got to be said that if we were to move on to another target now, for me, the targets who have that experience to be able to step into the team and really affect it are gone. We've missed out on them. 12 days left to try and find someone who has the right level of experience. Now, I'm hoping they have a plan. I'm hoping they have a plan, and we are 3rd, 4th, maybe even 5th choice now. But I hate to say it, but experience tells me we will either sign nobody between now and the end of the transfer window, or we'll get one loan in the door. And I know that sounds very pessimistic, but it's based on history. It's not based on pessimism.
It's not pessimism, Luke. I totally agree with you. Absolutely agree with you 100%, because there can't be a plan E, right? Which is kind of what we're on at the moment, I would suggest, because it seems like they didn't have a plan B, C, or D, right? So have they got a plan E? And what gets me is, and the most frustrating thing, you've just reeled off that, we're kind of 2 transfer. If you even that out, we're about 10 off the average, right? That's 2 transfers every summer transfer window. And we've been saying for the last 5 years doing these podcasts, we're always been 2 transfers away. And we were 2 transfers away under Pochettino. There's a common theme here, and it keeps going on and on and on. And I genuinely thought with the Morgan Gibbs White thing, and then, okay, that crashed. With the Eze thing, I thought, yeah, they're actually going for it. They're actually doing something. And they're not. They're not. And for whoever's fault it was, the club will no doubt this will come out what happened. And it could be that Eze all the time wanted Arsenal, and Arsenal may well have come in at the 11th hour. But as we've said all night, I will never change my opinion on this. If we got it done quickly, back end of last week, Eze didn't play at the weekend for Palace, he'd be our player now already. And I was a bit concerned over the weekend when it looked like things were going a bit south, because Saturday night there was a few rumblings. We should have just nipped it in the bud. Just, right, okay, what do you want? We don't learn our lessons. We don't learn.
Well, the problem with it, and the reason why this has come about, is because what Daniel Levy does is it's all about opportunism. It's not about forward planning, really. Or that's how it seems. Morgan Gibbs White was opportunism. He saw that, we found out about the release clause. Let's just go for that and see if we can get away with it. It didn't work. They offered them a little bit more. Marinakis was furious by that point. It didn't happen. That was opportunism. This is opportunism as well. He's gone, the person who was interested in Eze, the team, Arsenal, are no longer interested in him. His release clause is going to expire. Or Parish has said on live television that he actually feels he has to sell Gay and Eze, and you can't let them go for free. Well, that means that's ripe ground for a haggling then, isn't it? And that's what he's done. There's opportunism, and in they come. Well, that's brilliant, right? Well, you want to sell him, you can't let him go for free. Arsenal aren't interested anymore, and his release clause has expired, so here's 50 million, suck it up. And then they've not been happy with that, rightly so, and that's why the negotiations dragged on, because it was about opportunism. It wasn't about being proactive and, as people say, acting like a big club and just saying, here's the money, let's get the player in and get it done.
Luke, let me just read you this comment. And this was Thomas Frank on the transfer window, and this was after the Burnley game. He said, "We are definitely in the market. I said it before. Daniel and Johan and V-Knight are working relentlessly to try and do their best to improve the squad. But we only want to improve the squad. If we can't get the players in that improve the squad, then I want to keep it as it is." Now, who is going to improve this squad?
Well, look, I've watched quite a bit of Akliouche actually, and he is extremely talented. The young Japanese lad at Real Sociedad, another talented player. And the one thing I really like about Frank that is different to Ange, I thought Ange was an incredible man motivator. He really got the players on side, but Frank is actually, in terms of development, is very talented at that. And I think Levy knows he's got that person in the hot seat. But those two lads have never played Premier League. There's no guarantee that they'll be able to pick up, get up to the pace quickly.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, what I heard when I heard that, Chris, because I heard it the other day, I started getting sort of PTSD of Pochettino when he said those same words and said, "Oh no, it isn't about just bringing anyone in. We've got to bring the right players in."
Yeah.
And I thought, is that a club line? Is that just a sort of a parachute for if we end up falling out without anyone? I don't know. I think we can all see we're not silly. We're not football managers, and many of us are armchair managers in a way, but we're sitting here and we can see the holes in this team. We knew when Maddison got injured last season, we needed a backup 10. We didn't have it. We struggled desperately for creativity, and we were really poor in that sense. And we suddenly started drying up in terms of goals. We were one of the highest goal scorers with him fit, and suddenly, and Kulusevski being able to play there, and with both of them out, the goals started drying up. So we know we need a 10. And you said it earlier that Frank has said that he wants 2. He'd be lucky if he gets half a one at this rate. I mean, the other thing I think what is bizarre is that the club don't seem to have moved for someone that maybe is slightly cheaper, that maybe is more of a squad player to fill that position, and then gone for a kind of more expensive, flashy version in that space. I find that a bit strange. It seems like they could have gone for Akliouche already, got him through the door, and then have been looking at a more experienced 10. But yeah.
Yeah.
Luke, can you do me a favour? When you come off this stream, just send me an email, because I want to book you in for one of the main podcasts, because you're a great guest. So we look forward to talking to you again soon.
Will do. Cheers, guys. Thanks very much. Have a good night.
Thanks so much. Cheers. Right. We're going to go to Josh. Josh, how are you?
Brutal. Just really disappointing with the news. And the longer it dragged on, just the worse we thought this was going to be. Like anytime you give the board any benefit of the doubt, like maybe, everyone else did their business and Eze was still out there. It's like anytime you give them any benefit of the doubt, it's like they just crush you every time. And it's just very disappointing. It also just reinforces the fact that there's no plan. There's no plan. It's all, and like Luke said perfectly, it's all opportunism. It's all just opportunity buys. And it's like we bid for Morgan Gibbs-White when James Maddison was healthy. And so we wanted to improve in that area. That fell through. Then Maddison got hurt. It's like, okay, then you really should go after someone like Eze or someone of that ilk. It's just...
Josh, do you think, I've been sitting here thinking, and I think it has been mentioned tonight, that now we've lost out on Eze, I think anybody we're linked to is going to feel a bit meh. You're going to think, oh, he's not good enough. He's not good enough. I was just looking through X while the previous guests have been talking, and, Tyler Diblin's been mentioned. El Canoose I've seen come up, Morgan Rogers, and apparently we're going to go back. We're still going to try for Savinio. Fabrizio Romano's said on YouTube. Yes, Savinio would be great. Absolutely. He was kind of ran alongside Eze. But do you get that feeling that we could be all a bit disillusioned with whoever we get now?
Yeah, it's a really good point, and it ends up just turning on the player. Like, it's unfair to the player too. It's the messaging from the club that's dishonest, right? It's almost like if they were more honest with the fans, and like they're trying to act like a top 4 club and compete in that $60 to $80 million space, but time after time after time, we lose out on those targets because the players don't really want to come, or we're messing around with fees. No one bid for Kudus but us, I don't think. And I'm very happy to have him. Super excited. I think he's awesome. But there was no bidding war there, right? Our bidding war was with Danzo and Wolverhampton. Like, that's sort of where we are. I'd almost rather them come out and say, hey, like, I'd almost rather them go full throttle, like, for the young kids. Like, it's just the messaging is dishonest, and the fans play, it's dishonest. So the fans, it's just dishonest. So it's just makes everyone that much more angry.
Yeah.
Josh, is there anyone in particular that you'd like to see in a Spurs shirt in the next 12 days?
I mean, there's some guys that you can get excited about, but it's like, these are 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th guys now that we want. I mean, Olmo would be pretty exciting. I think we've been linked with him for a while. That guy Kubo is pretty exciting, but these are all unproven Premier League guys. So it's like, there are guys that I could get excited about, and we really do need creativity in that position because it's going to be hard to score. Like, how many times is Richarlison going to have 2 goals in a game off of 2 cross? Like, it's going to be hard to get goals. Like, we really need another. We need another way to score goals other than crossing from Kudus. Like, so there's some guys that could be excited about, but it's disappointing. And like Craig said, like, really good point. It's like it just ends up hurting. It makes you not excited about the guy that we do get, right?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Who do we get in though, Josh? Who would get your juices flowing? Who would you like to? Who can the club really get in to win back favour with the fans?
Olmo, I've really liked Olmo. Morgan Rogers I think he would be a good Spurs player, but it's, I don't have faith that these could get done. I feel like we're going to go after, when I first joined on, like, we were talking about that bracket of that $20 to $40 million player. Like, we're going to get someone like Odegaard. We're going to overpay for a prospect and hope that we strike gold with him. That seems to be that's our plan, right? Like, that seems to be what it is. That's who we're going after. I mean, I like some of the guys that we've landed. It's just,
that can't happen. That can't happen, Josh, in my opinion, because when you're going to play a Champions League campaign, you need top quality players for Champions League football.
You do. You're like that. You do 100%. It's just that seems to be the way we're operating, and the board comes out and says otherwise, which isn't true. So it's just very. I don't know what to say other than, like, we have to change the way that we approach the transfer window, and we seem to operate under these constraints that other clubs don't. Like, I'd be interested to see, what was it, Sai, one of the guy who's good with the club finance. Like, I'd like to kind of see, like, what's the end game here? The club's the ninth richest in the world. We have, like, the lowest wage ratio. Like, what do they just want to keep growing the valuation and not spend their own personal money? It's like, I just don't understand what the motivations are anymore because they're so inconsistent with their messaging.
Yeah. Josh, thanks for joining us. I tell you, I don't know what to say anymore about this. It's just so frustrating. What a frustrating evening. Thanks for joining us, Josh, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, guys.
See you later, Josh.
Honestly. Gary, we're going to bring Gary in. Gary, how are you?
It's taken me. I knew the show when you said an hour, Chris. I knew it would go on 3 hours, and I thought I need 3 hours to calm down. Otherwise, I'm going to get you thrown off YouTube because I was that angry. But listen, like I've been saying for the last 2-3 weeks, this was always going to happen. This, Craig, you and me have spoken about it day after day. the longer it went on, when we didn't do the deal, you know, the day after Maddison got injured, the deal should have just been done. Pay the money. Chris, you used a good analogy earlier about buying something. I went into the room to my boy and I said, if you go along to a car dealer and you see a car and you really want that car, you can't then look at that dealer and say, do you know what? I really like the car. It's nice, but I'll tell you what, I'm not going to pay that. I'll come back in a week. I'll offer you a deal. The chances are, Chris, you go back the following week, the car's gone. That, you know, it is just as simple as that. I mean, this is schoolboy stuff, but ultimately, you know, probably Eze, yes, did want to go Arsenal. That is correct. He did want to go Arsenal. We know he was there as a youth, so we get that. He's an Arsenal fan, right? Arsenal have always been interested in him, and I think Arsenal always knew that this was going to happen. So that's why there was no noise coming out of Arsenal. They were just waiting and waiting and waiting. Now, the other thing that Craig touched on, what a lot of other people said, and what we've been talking about for the last 3 weeks, just pay the money. Get the deal done. Why are you waiting till that release clause ends and then haggling over silly money? And then why on the day of a deal, when you think it's over the line, 85%, you're trying to throw Richarlison in there?
This is what I don't get, Gary. If this is just an average player where you can go out and get an average player pretty much any transfer window, but when you've got an exceptional player, when you've got a one-off player, like you said about the car, if you've got a one-off limited edition car that you're never going to see again, and it's your one opportunity to go and purchase that car, you go and pay that money.
Chris, you know, you're a car lover like me, and I did exactly that. When I was in the market for a car a few years ago, I looked at loads of cars. I saw the one that I wanted. It was a bit more than what I could afford, but I thought, you know what? One way or another, I'm going to get that car. And I made the sums. I got the money together. I went back to the dealer the same day and bought the car because I know someone else would have got it. And I wasn't going to let that happen. And listen, at the end of the day, are we surprised? Because I am not surprised in the slightest. I've been saying it down the gym. I've been saying it at work. I've been saying it to Arsenal fans. And that's another reason why I wasn't resharing memes. I wasn't getting excited or anything else like that. And if we had have signed Eze, I still wouldn't have thrown it and rubbed it in their faces. But as soon as that news dropped earlier, I've already had to block 10 Arsenal fans. They're absolutely unbearable. I mean, the fact of the matter is, right, he is going to improve the team. They're not going to win anything, Arsenal. That is a guarantee. But it's not the point. The fact that we was in for such a great player and we could have got the deal done and he's gone to our rivals, that's what hurts. I don't think for a second Arsenal are going to win anything with him because they won't. You'll see at the end of the season. But the fact of the matter is we needed that player. The deal could have been done. He could have gone to Tottenham and we faffed about. Now, is it all on Daniel Levy? I don't know. But like what Craig said, a lot of people said, we all watched that bullshit documentary with Gary Neville. What a load of rubbish that was. Absolute, just crap. Absolute bollocks that was. You know, and he did say in that the final decision is resting with him. But how are we letting ourselves get in this situation where we're being humiliated and laughed at by Arsenal? Come on, man. Like, the fans don't deserve it. You don't deserve it. We don't deserve it. You know, it's fucking embarrassment, mate.
Craig, when Gary talks about cars here, so are we still going on after Ferraris and Porsches, or are we now at the Fiat 500?
Chris, you and me got all the Ferraris and Porsches. There's none left.
You know what? I don't want to offend anyone. If anyone's got a Fiat 500, I apologise, but you know what I mean.
You're dead right. I think we're going to be fishing around in a pool of players now that we weren't even considering.
No.
Because the board are going to have to react now. The club's going to have to react because they know the backlash this is going to cause from the fans, regardless. You know, and that is the worrying thing. The only sort of players they could really turn it around with, and it can't be just one now. It can't be just one. If they really want to support Thomas Frank and win back the fans, they've got to go for players like, and I'm not saying they're going to go for all of these, by the way, but I'm talking players like Harry Kane, Rodrigo, Savinho. They've got to go for that quality of player. They've got to.
Yeah.
Because messing around in bargain basement is not going to work.
No.
Do you know what I absolutely hate, Gary? Right, and you know I love you, Gary, but I hate it when you say stuff like "I knew it would happen," because you know what? I want the club to change. I don't want people like you to say "I knew this would happen." I hate that.
Yeah, but do you know what, Chris? It unfortunately, I knew it would. You know, and the longer it went on, I mean, you know, we touched on it earlier, right? Havertz injures himself. They go in, they get a deal done in 8 hours. Maddison injured himself 17, 18 days or whatever it was ago, right? You know, the release clause is still there. Everyone's thinking, well, surely the deal's got to be done before Friday at 5 o'clock, whatever it was. It isn't. It's dragging on. It's dragging on. We're getting Fabrizio Romano, 50%, 80%, 85%. But the longer it went on, you know, Craig will tell you, we're WhatsApping back and forth and all that. And I said to you, Chris, the only thing that would have got me past that PSG defeat, because that was pathetic, by the way we lost that was an absolute joke, and that was Tottenham all over. The only way we was going to get over that, which I said to you, was a 3-0 win over Burnley and signing Eze. And we fucked it. And we deserve all we get. And it's not the fans' fault. You know, it's not your fault, Chris, Craig, or me for knowing that was going to happen. But this is what we got to suffer. And talking about trying to rectify it in that, we can't. It's impossible. We can't rectify this now. Like, it's too late. But we only have ourselves to blame. You know, this is down to Daniel Levy, the board, and Tottenham Hotspur. And this is what they do in, week out, year after year. They don't act like a big club. When, you know, he's saying they will challenge on all 4 things. Come on, man. This is a fucking joke. That Gary Neville thing was a joke. It's the same old shit every few years. You know, you're telling me Daniel Levy. I mean, the thing is, it's not even like Arsenal have gone in for an extra 10 or 15 million. It's the same amount of money. You know, how did it get to the point, lads, where it went from us doing a deal to then offering Richarlison? I don't understand that, right? You've got to take some things with a pinch of salt. How much is true, how much isn't true, and everything else. But one thing we do know is this deal could have been done weeks ago. And then it wouldn't have mattered what's true and what isn't, and Arsenal this and Arsenal that, and Havertz's injury and everything else. It should have been done. You know, and this is why I said, lads, after we won that Europa League, I said, enjoy it, take it in as much as you can, because when the season starts, we go back to being Tottenham.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
And that's what's happened.
I do. Yeah. But I've asked this, Gary, though. I've asked this to several guests. Where do we go now? What do we do?
We don't. What we have to do now is we have to suck it up. We have to take the abuse and the memes and the piss taking from all the Arsenal fans. And we have to hope that when he comes to Tottenham Stadium, Romero goes straight through him with 2 legs and he doesn't score against us, because that's the most we can hope for. Because I don't think Arsenal are going to win the league or win anything with him. But ultimately, he's probably going to score against us, which is going to work. You know, but we can't go anywhere from him unless we went in and got someone like, you know, Isaac from Newcastle, right? Imagine we went in 160, 170 million, got him. Great. We're not going to do that, right? We're not going to do that because we're bickering over 4 or 5 million. And listen, 4 or 5 million is a lot of money. I get that. But when you're getting a player of his quality, don't forget, he just sold Son for what he bought him for 10 years ago. He sold Kane and got 100 million. He got another 100 million getting in the Champions League. He's got the money. Why, Chris, you know more about the dealings of transfer winners, Craig, so do you. Why is this man dragging a deal out for 3.5 weeks when Maddison has injured himself? I don't understand it.
We are 1 injury away, right, from being weaker than we were at the end of last season because we've sold Son. It's incredible.
I don't understand it.
Incredible.
Chris, how on earth, you know, all the uploads and all the stuff you've been doing and everything else, how has it got to a stage where Arsenal have come in last minute when I knew unless we get this deal done, it was so obvious. If you don't get this deal done, Arsenal are going to come in last minute. We know he was with him as a kid. We know he wanted to go to Arsenal, but you get the deal done before it happens, don't you? I don't understand it. It's Tottenham.
Gary, I don't want to be a broken record, but I just cannot get my head round that Spurs have just not got this deal over the line. The fact that they've been talking to Eze, his representatives, Crystal Palace, for the last couple of weeks, I just cannot understand from a business point of view how they have not sealed that deal.
I mean, Chris, you know, like you've said it there. This has been going on for over 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. When did Maddison injure himself? What, 17, 18 days ago?
Yeah.
So the talks have opened up from there. What has stopped this deal happening? You know, are we being a little bit naive and we're just thinking it's all down to Daniel Levy and because he's just so stubborn and he's egotistical and he's just tight? Or did Crystal Palace players, you know, because I noticed they were waiting, they couldn't do the deal until another player come in, but that's out the window now, isn't it? Because the deal's been done with Arsenal. So you do have to kind of question yourself and think, well, we just got used again and made to look like absolute fucking idiots. It's embarrassing, mate, you know, and the frustrating thing is we're losing out to clubs, albeit Arsenal are a good side, but we're losing out to clubs that have won fuck all. They've won nothing.
Gary, after the Europa League success, is there a part of you, or was there a part of you in the last couple of months thinking that we are going to change as a football club how we do things?
No, there wasn't 1% of that. No, I thought once the window starts, we'll have a bit of a shit transfer window and we'll go into next season. For me, I said it on one of the podcasts. For me, it wasn't about finish 17th was the only reason why he sacked Ange. I think because that part of Ange probably went into him and said, look, I want back in. These players have got to be on more wages. We've got to bring players in for now, not loans or anything else. And he got rid of him. And Frank is a yes sir, no sir manager. And it suits the narrative, you know. Like I said, you start the season, we'll finish 7th or 8th and win nothing. And that's a good season for Daniel Levy in Tottenham Hotspur. They'll be happy with that. You know, the fans won't be, but that's all he wants. He doesn't care about, you know, getting these big signings in and strengthening the team. You know, he turns around and said, we should be winning the Champions League and we want to win the Premier League. It's all fucking words. It's nonsense. He's building new flats outside the stadium and he's a multi-billionaire. He don't give a shit about us on podcasts and he don't care that Eze has gone to our rival team. He doesn't care about stuff like that. He really don't give a shit. It's us that care. It's us that hurts. It's me that's upstairs raging saying, I'm not coming on your podcast, Chris, because I'm too angry. And I was. It's taken me nearly, because I knew your podcast would go 4 hours. It's taken me 3 hours to calm down because I'm that angry. And I hate Arsenal. I hate their fans. The only saving grace is, and you can clip this, at the end of the season, they will win fuck all again. But Eze will probably score against us. And for me, that's enough to piss me off. You know, we can't, there's no one who we can go out and get now who I think is a ready-made player to come in and strengthen this team. He was the player that we had to get at all costs, especially after the Gibbs-White fiasco. I mean, this is fucking, I mean, Chris, how does this happen with a businessman like Daniel Levy, mate? Come on,
you've hit the nail on the head.
This deal out.
You've hit the nail on the head, Gary. It's. I don't know where we go. I don't know what player they bring in. I've mentioned a few, but none of them are probably likely.
None of them. And
so
I don't think now, you know, and listen, I'll be honest with you, Chris, very quickly. You know, I've never been one to protest, and I'm not going to protest, you know, and I've got nothing against people doing all that. But this is going to push the fans for some serious protesting now. This is, even people that kind of was a little bit in Daniel Levy's camp and all that, even though if he's not fully responsible for this situation, because he sacked Ange the way that he did, because he didn't get the Gibbs-White deal over the line, and because he's fucked up with Eze, this is going to go toxic, mate. I can't see him coming back from this. The only way is getting made from Newcastle. That ain't going to happen, is it?
Gary, on that point, they know that the fans are going to be extremely disappointed. There's going to be a lot of very, very angry fans.
Yeah.
How do they turn it around?
I don't know if they can, Chris. I don't think they can now. I think the fact that you've let our, you know, a player that we've been in for 3 weeks go to our arch rivals, I don't think they can turn it around. I think it's gone too far now, I'm afraid. You know, the opportunity was there to make good of, you know, of the bad Gibbs-White situation. But unfortunately, letting this happen the way that it has and it dragging out over 3 weeks. Look, let's be honest about it, right? If we had gone in for Eze, and this was a matter of a few days, and then Arsenal went in as well, and we got into a little bit of bidding war, you can understand it, right? If both teams were on the table, you've got Arsenal that finished second and got Champions League football. Tottenham finished 17th Champions League football. Eze was with them as a kid. You'd accept it. You say, okay, fair enough. Listen, I'm old enough to understand Arsenal are probably a much more better fit for him than Tottenham. But what I will say is, one, we didn't need to get into that situation because we signed him. And two, he would have started every game and gone straight in for Spurs. Whereas whether he starts every game and goes straight in for Arsenal, I don't know. But unfortunately, we've left ourselves open, mate. And we didn't need to. We didn't need to. This is the thing, you know, me and Craig, and Craig was like me with Eze. I wanted that Eze deal, mate. And there's not many times in transfer windows I get angry and upset and to this point. But this whole household knew how much I wanted him. Everyone down the gym knew how much I wanted him. But one thing I always said, the deal ain't done yet because I think Arsenal are going to come in last minute. And they fucking did, mate. And you know what? That's going to turn all the fans now, because you can't come back from that when you're Tottenham, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I think Eze is as good as getting into any Premier League team. I think he is that good.
Yeah, I mean, Havertz is injured as well now, obviously. So, you know, he starts with Arsenal. I mean, look, listen, I know for a fact Arsenal are not going to win anything this season. They won't. And probably come end of the season, Arteta will get sacked. But that doesn't make this feel any better, because I feel if Eze goes into us, maybe we could have a good chance of maybe winning a domestic cup or whatever. But with the team that we've got now and how light we are with our squad and that, it's unforgivable, mate. Honestly, I'm not even at a point where I'm that angry anymore now. I'm just like, I'm used to it. I'm numb. I feel numb. I felt a bit like when we lost to PSG in the last 5 minutes. You know, people saying, oh yeah, but you got to be positive. 85 minutes, we were good and all that. No, I'm sorry. It doesn't matter. It's crossed off. Don't tell me for 85 minutes we were good and then we threw it away. It don't mean nothing. And it's the same as, oh yeah, well, we got in kudos, you know, and we might get this one in and fucking Kulusevski will be back soon. Nah, I'm sorry. You have just lost out on a proven Premier League player that goes straight into a team, strengthens your side. And if it had gone to fucking any other team, for me, even Chelsea, I know you hate Chelsea, Chris, but any other team but Arsenal, I would have probably been able to get a few hours sleep tonight. But the fact that he's gone to that scum down the road to South London club makes it all the worse. And it's no surprise, mate, that as soon as that Fabrizio Romano went, here we go, I sent it on the WhatsApp group. I got message after message after message from Arsenal fans that I haven't heard from in months. And that's what their fan base is like. And we all know the fan base and all the YouTube channels and everything else. I despise them, mate. And I hope Romero takes him out. I don't give a shit. I'll say it live on YouTube. I hope he fucking takes him out, mate.
Gary,
and now what you have to do now, lads, one last thing what you have to do now is you have to hate Eze. You have to despise him and hope the worst for him and Arsenal. Couldn't give a fuck what people think. Couldn't care less. I want to see Romero going in, mate, and getting a red card. Like Battle of the Bridge. Couldn't give a shit. Because once he signs that deal with Arsenal, but listen, I'm not even going to blame Eze for it. It's Daniel Levy's fault.
Gary, thank you so much for joining us. I want to talk to you soon.
Take care, man. See you later.
Cheers.
Yeah, mate.
Right, I know a lot of people say same old Spurs. Well, we're going to go to the same old Spurs host, Majestic.
All right, chaps.
Great to have you on. Honestly, I didn't even want to record this evening, but of course.
I bet you didn't.
Yeah. Majestic, how are you feeling?
Well, I beefer, so the only good thing is that I can actually take my mind off it in a bit and go and DJ. But it's just the reason why we called the podcast Same Old Spurs is because of these things. As Gary was saying there as well, like, enjoy the moment of the cup, because when the start of the season comes again, it's going to be the same old thing again and again. And the fact of the matter is, you know, you're doing your PR stunt with Gary Neville. I want to win the Premier League. I want to win the Champions League. 68 million, was that the release clause?
Yeah.
Literally, the day. So, from like someone that knew Eze, the talk was that June, Arsenal came in for him. And they were talking, but they didn't want to pay the £68 million. They didn't want to pay it. And they talked. Arteta loved him, you know. And again, they had the whole situation with Nwaneri and his contract. So they didn't go in for him. Then they got, I think Nwaneri signed a new contract. So he's there thinking, yeah, cool, I'm the main guy. Like, you know, that's going to be coming up next. And then we was like the one horse in this race for Eze. All we had to do was just get the release clause, and then it would have triggered it, and we would have done the deal. Like, not this whole Morgan Gibbs White thing where we went 1p over or whatever, and it was like, well, how did you know the release clause? The release clause was public. We could have spent the money and done it, but we didn't. And now we're in this situation. The one thing I would say is, Eze clearly wants to play for Arsenal, because rejected as a kid there, binned off by them, gone and made his name as a player. They didn't even want him that bad that they went and signed Madueke and other people before him.
Yeah.
Now someone's injured, they want him, and he still goes. Like, my ego would be dented by that if I was a footballer. I'd be like, I'm not going to. You don't want me. Like, but clearly, it's like if Spurs came in for us, like, we're going Spurs as a footballer. But it's just now, as you guys are saying, Craig, who can we go and get that will take away any of this heat? It would have to be a Rodrigo, but we don't operate like that. If we don't operate like this with Eze, there's no way on earth we're going in for like a Rodrigo.
No, 100%. And you've hit the nail on the head, Majestic. It's depressing as hell, isn't it? just being a Spurs fan, like Chris said, you can't have, we said you can't have nice things. It's like we had the Europa League final. We was all high. That 2 or 3 days, we had that. I was at the stadium. Chris was out there, and then we all came together. We all came together at the parade. Had a brilliant day on that Friday. Lovely sunny day. People celebrating. People talking to each other you didn't know.
Memories for life.
Memories for life. And then. It's just
well again, it is the ups and downs, isn't it? Because like I said last week after the PSG game with so many positives, and then to lose it in the last couple of minutes the way we did, then go have a great game against Burnley. Kudus looks amazing. You've got a reborn Richarlison. You're thinking, if we had a couple of components here, this is a top 4 challenging team.
How many times have we said that?
I know. And then in the week, Kuti signs a new deal. You're looking at Romero. Romero signing a new deal is as good as a new signing, right? And then this happens. It's just be consistent with the good stuff. Just go, right, you know what? We mean business. There's the £68 million. I'm not messing around with release clauses. Done. Because all of a sudden, not only have we not got the target, we've just improved Arsenal.
Yeah.
Who are that close to winning the league. And do you know what really makes me laugh is this whole PSR thing. Like, Arsenal have spent 280 million now if it comes to like Eze being bought for 60 plus, and they've sold like no one.
Yeah.
Like, how does it work? When does it work? How, this is why it's a myth to me. Like, why can't Newcastle buy anyone, but Arsenal can go and lump out loads of money, and Chelsea can as well? Like, it's just, although Chelsea have loads of outgoings, I just don't know. As you said, Craig, to guests, where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? We don't have a creative player.
Majestic, before this news about Eze, how are you feeling about this season?
Going into the season, I liked what I saw at the weekend. I like the fact that, Kudus is a great signing. I think we really haven't looked at that because none of us were really looking at Kudus as someone to come in. But he's brilliant. And what I saw so far was great. The way that he was protecting Poro as well. Watch how different Poro looks this season because he's got a bit of help from Kudus, who actively wants to get back. And then I thought, right, Palhinha, Kudus, wicked. Go and put 2 more in there, and that is top 6 towards top 4. Now, if we're going to mess around and go and get, we might go and get this. Let's go and get Diblin, for example, who's a prospect. Eze was a ready-made Premier League star. Like, because that would have changed the whole dynamic of it. It would have been Palhinha was Fulham's best player a couple of years ago. Eze's been Palace's best player. Then you got Kudus, West Ham's probably best player. Do we go for a late steal for Jared Bowen? Is that so we go and annoy West Ham even further? Who else is out there? Even though he signed a new deal, I'm a huge fan, said it before, Semenyo. Like, go and pay 75 mil for Semenyo. Or go all out and, like you say, go and 90 million for Rodrigo. Like, we have to do something, but we're not going to. And the fact of the matter, like just now I was on TalkSport with Jason and Jamie. I don't know if you've ever heard him. He goes on TalkSport sometimes. Angry Matt. I've had a run in with him a couple of times on there. Tries to call me a Levy lover. Reckons Levy pays for my season tickets. Pays for my tickets. It's hilarious, right? I literally just absolutely pelted Levy on there. The fact that we've got people, right? I was at the Eubank and Ben fight, and they played North London Forever. You see the video of me walking away from the decks. I didn't play it, right?
All right,
And because of the Ring magazine, the stadium's lit up red. Our stadium's lit up red with North London Forever being played, right? Surely the benefit of that is going to be, we got some money now to go and act correctly in transfer situations. But no. So what's the gain of having Beyonce making a home all summer and 50 Cent and everyone turning up if we're still going to go like, I'm going to wait until next week. Levy's as bad as me waiting for flights to go on sale.
Have the club got a plan though, Majestic? Do you think they've got a plan? I've called it a plan E, but do you think they know where they're going to go from here?
Well, they'll have a list of targets, won't they? But I just think now what they've done is, in terms of like imagine playing poker with someone. All the other clubs now are laughing, going, well, we know that they need a number 10. So if you're going to come for our guy, we're going to stick 20 mil on top. And we know you're not going to play it. So we've absolutely killed ourselves by all this week with this, like, it's advancing. From the time of Fabrizio Romano saying it's 85% done, the fact we ain't got this deal done is embarrassing. And you know what it is? We're all going to turn up. Who's the next home game? Is it Bournemouth?
Bournemouth, yeah.
Yeah, we're all going to turn up. It's like, welcome to the home of the mighty Spurs. And we're all just going to go, yay. And no one's going to do nothing about it. And it's going to be the same old shit. And again, listen, imagine this. Like I said, you see the parade and all that. I'm like thinking to myself, you know, I DJ on the biggest boxing. I'm in beef. I'm doing this, that, and the other. How don't I get asked to DJ for Spurs? And you know what I find out? Well, apparently you've been anti-Levy in the past, right? I've heard that from inside, yeah? Like, trust me. And that's what I'm saying. The man just has that club in a chokehold, yeah? Whilst we're paying all this money to support him, do this stuff, travel to around the world like you're doing, Chris, doing your podcast, showing our love, our support, and then we get treated like this at the end. It's just, it's you know what it is? It's a piss take.
Majestic, let's talk a little bit about you, because you've just mentioned some of those things that you've done. The boxing, you're out in Ibiza, you're on Talk Sport, you're doing the podcast, you're absolutely everywhere. I tell you, the people you meet and the opportunities that you get and the jobs that you get, you know, fair play to you. You're all over the place. It must be incredible.
Yeah, mate, listen, I'm very blessed. I work very hard, but I'm very blessed and I'm grateful to be in the positions I'm in. Even the fact that at the boxing, I got to see Madison, Solanke, Brennan Johnson, Van der Ven and Jed Spence, and I shook their hands and I thanked them and I showed them the video of me and Hacks and my mates and all that, and my dad, like literally in tears when that final whistle went. Just to say, look, boys, I know it's cliche, but just to show you what this shit means to us. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, with my son, these are the special moments for us. So thank you for giving us those moments, and like, let's try and build on it, because I think as a fan base, like, I know there's a load of clubs. There's a lot of clubs that have got this mad hatred for us, and it's a bit of like they don't want us to be at the big table, but we are a big club, and there's no denying it, and the facts will back it up. And the thing is, with that trophy win, it was like we were walking away from the Spursy thing and getting bantered. Now we just walk straight back into banter zone, and it's just unfair on us lot, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But listen, I'm loving you guys' discussion. I've been watching while getting ready to DJ. I've got to go. I'm supposed to be playing in 15 minutes, so I'm going to go. But listen, to all my Spurs fans out there, listen, it's hard work in it, but this is why Chris and the gang give us the therapy that we need to talk about it and get it off our chest. The only one thing we can say, boys and girls watching, is, you know, at least we won a trophy recently, and you know what, the Thomas Frank Revolution, I'm up for it. Let's go.
Majestic, before you go, just tell everyone about the podcast, you and Gaz.
Yeah, the Same Old Spurs podcast. We're back. Did the first episode at the weekend. And it was a hard season last year, not just with my schedule, but just even trying to do podcasts with 22 league defeats, you know. I always take my hat off for you guys for always showing up and doing it. So that's back, sospod.co.uk. And, of course, I'm on TalkSport Sundays with Alan Pardew, who's a former player of ours as well, who doesn't have a legacy number. That's always my banter with him. But, yeah, great show, guys. Big love.
Thank you. Thank you, Majestic.
See you later, boys.
All the best. Speak to you soon. Right. We are going to go to our last guest, and we're going to go to Steve, because this is now a 3-hour show, and Craig's got to get to bed, and so have I. So, Steve, last guest of the evening, how are you? And give us your reaction to this Eze news.
Same old Spurs, isn't it, guys? You know, go from, like you said tonight, go from a high, and now we just end up disappointed again. I don't know how we haven't got this deal over the line. I was so excited. Because yesterday it was reported that it was agreed, like verbally agreed, and I was getting really excited, and now they've taken him away from us again. So yeah, really disappointed tonight. So I was actually like on from the beginning, but I had to come away because I was that angry. So,
is it whose fault is it though, Steve? I've asked a couple of people tonight. Whose fault is this? Is it partly do you think the player wanted Arsenal all along? Or do you think it's us messing around?
It's us messing around. I mean, you know, the Morgan Gibbs White, all right, that happened, and we was all disappointed, and we said that cannot happen again, and it's happened again, hasn't it? And now we're just a laughing stock, like we always are with other, especially with the Arsenal fans now. I've had Arsenal fans messaging me tonight on Facebook laughing faces. So it's just it's Levy. It's got to be down to Levy because, like you said to Gary Neville, I have the final say in all transfers. So why is it taking 3 weeks? If you know that your player's out for 3, like Madison's got injured 3 weeks ago, why, like you said tonight, just get the deal done, pay the extra what they want, or like trigger that release clause before the Friday deadline, and just so. But you, like you said earlier, we was all joking the other night, weren't we, about this? And now it's like we've all got eggs on our faces again. So no, extremely disappointed, guys. But like you say, where do we go from here? Don't know. I don't have a clue. I really don't have a clue. So,
How many signings do you expect, Steve, from now until the 1st of September?
none. I don't think. I think because we're going to be scrambling around now, and like every chairman of a football club we go to, they're going to be like, "Oh, okay, yeah, let's work an extra 20-30 million onto the price of these players," and they're just going to dilly dally on it for another 11 days. We haven't got time to muck about now. Because what was it? Morgan Gibbs White took we mucked about for 2 weeks after that. Madison got injured. We wasted 5 weeks of messing around with transfers. That's 5 vital weeks we could have got players over the line, and we just haven't done it. So, like I said, I don't know where we go from here. I don't think we'll get anybody in, or we might get a loan deal final day of the transfer window, but it won't be as good. Not to sound horrible, but I don't think it'll be as good as Eze. So we'll probably get another Werner in or something like that. So,
well, that's the worry, isn't it? 12 days left of this window, and where are we going? Nobody's been able to give a decent answer on that, because none of us know. Because it's, I think we're going to be hunting around in that bargain bucket in Poundland now, because I can't see us going for the players that are on a par with the Ezes of the world, because there's not many of them around. Let's face it, and most clubs, most big clubs that act like big clubs have got their business done already.
Yeah, I mean, Liverpool would sign what big players?
I was going to say, Craig, I think on our updates now, on our regular daily updates, I think that we're going to probably be linked with so many players now, because it's been heavily dominated with the Eze news. But like Majestic said, people know, the clubs now know that Spurs needed number 10. All of a sudden the price goes up. All of a sudden, there will be some number 10s thinking, oh, actually, I fancy a move to Spurs, and then agents will be ringing Tottenham, and lots of things will be happening. We'll be linked with so many players from now. Steve, last question, and I know I'm so sorry that we haven't given you much time on here, but we've been going now for 3 hours, and I feel like we've exhausted this subject about Eze. But thinking about the Manchester City game, I've no doubt that the club themselves will be very disappointed with this Eze situation, and Thomas Frank will be very disappointed as well. What do you see happening in this City game this coming weekend?
I don't know now. I really don't know, because Eze would have just given us that little bit of more of an edge. But I don't know where the creativity is coming from. And like you said tonight, we're 1 injury away from being worse off than we were last season. So I don't know, Chris. I really don't know where we go from here, really. And I don't know what's going to happen the weekend now. But on a lighter note, though, I'm going to end this on a lighter note. Did you receive my email earlier?
I did. I've not had a chance to play it though, Steve. So we'll do that on a more we'll do that on a more light-hearted show.
Yeah, go watch it, because it will cheer you up. You need a bit of cheering up, though. Yeah. There's a couple of videos on there. There's a singing dog, so he'll cheer you up. Don't worry about that.
Well, Steve, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll talk to you again soon.
All right, take care, everybody. See you later.
Cheers. Craig, it's been a 3-hour plus show, and it's fair to say that every person that has come on this evening talking about the board, talking about Daniel Levy, talking about how the club is run, a lot of people want change.
Yeah, that's absolutely plain to see. It's going to be an interesting few days coming up now to see how the board and everybody behind the scenes reacts to this, and even everybody's going to be analysing what the club puts out on social media. People, they're going to get absolutely barrage of abuse, no doubt, from people, whatever posts they put out, because people are just going to be incredibly frustrated and annoyed by the way the club have failed us. And there's no other word for it. They've failed. I feel let down. I feel incredibly let down. That's how I feel. Disappointed and let down, angry, all the emotions. There's not much else I can say. I think I've said everything tonight. I think the guests have been brilliant. I think the guests have said everything. Great to get Majestic on all the way from Ibiza just before his DJ set. Good of him to come on and speak to us as well. And it's just, I just feel drained. I feel absolutely drained, and not because it's nearly 12 o'clock. I just feel drained of this whole thing. So let's see what tomorrow brings, but I'm not expecting good things. I'm sorry. I don't know what you think, Chris.
I agree with you. I'm frustrated. I'm annoyed. I'm angry, and I feel let down as well because how many times have we spoke about this possible Eze deal? We've been linked with the guy since 2019. Didn't sign him when he played for QPR when we should have done. Would have been a great player for Tottenham in this Premier League era, and not to get this deal over the line. I just like I've said throughout the whole of the 3 hours, I just can't get my head round that they have not got that deal over the line, being so close. And the only funny thing about tonight's show is the fact that you've been messaging saying how tired you are and you want to go to bed, and Majestic is just starting work.
Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it? Yeah, he's obviously got a lot more energy than me. But do you know what? I just feel I was actually buzzing earlier, even with the news coming out. Well, it's a strange one about the Richarlison sort of swap deal. Still wasn't sure how that was going to work. Probably should have set the alarm bells ringing then. But then the news obviously broke about Arsenal, and then as soon as that broke, I thought that's it, game over. Yeah. But I just want to say thank you very much to the 13,389 people that are watching us live and have stuck with it. Hope it's provided you with a bit of cathartism. Is that right? Is that the right word? Or certainly a bit of therapy. Would be great to have you all with us on regular podcasts after matches, because it doesn't rain every day. Things will get better, or they better do, or else I think we'll all end up in therapy. But yeah, thanks everybody for supporting us tonight and coming on. We hope the chat has helped you all at least deal with this crappy news.
Yeah, a lot of frustration in the fan base, and like I said earlier, it's very important that we do these fan shows. So if you'd like to appear on a future one, please do send me an email. It's tottenhamfanchris@gmail.com. And interestingly, a lot of people feel exactly the same way. A lot of frustration, and like I keep saying, it's a huge transfer window for Tottenham, a huge transfer window for Thomas Frank. I know he's come out and said that we only want to do business if we can improve on the squad, but Spurs need to go all out in this next 12 days to help the manager fight on all fronts, and that's their words, not ours. Fight on all fronts. We've always wanted to fight on all fronts, but with the club coming out, the chairman, the CEO, and the manager saying we want to be fighting on all fronts, it's an absolute must. After that trophy winning the Europa League, we want to push on and we want to win trophies every single season and feel like we did, during that parade on the 23rd of May. That was incredible. But yeah, as Craig said, thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for listening. And we will be back very soon when hopefully we've got some much better news on the transfer front. So yeah, until the next time, thanks so much to all of the guests, by the way. It's always great talking to so many people, particularly from all around the world. And Majestic, a good friend of mine, is a very, very busy guy, does all sorts of stuff. So for him to even give up 5 minutes of his time to come on, really, really appreciate that. Top guy. Thanks for watching and listening, everyone. And we will see you again soon. Come on, you Spurs.